So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the day three session program of ours. I believe everybody is settled down at their workplace and good to go. My audio is reaching. Can somebody confirm that?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, thank you so much. So, is there any doubt or queries during the time of practice? So, first of all, you have practice or not? That's what the first question I should ask. Hope you have gone through the videos, referred the recordings. Recordings are working fine, and you have practiced well. There is no queries. If at all any queries, you can ask me right now. Okay, so the silence, it assumes that there is no query. All right, so let me first share our screen. Okay. So as we planned, today we are going to start with our data summarization and analysis. Like the moment you download the data from SAP or ERP system or a huge chunk of data when it is there with you, how to play around with the same, how to present your information in a storytelling format, and how to create a one-page report and matching the need exactly and satisfying all your audience with the information we are going to discuss today. Okay. So kindly go to our sample case studies folder. The file name is data analysis. Kindly open that. Okay. So when you open, you can notice this kind of uh, huge data junk. One file will be open, and this is the sheet name called summary table. It will be there in front of your screen. So kindly confirm quickly, please. Why for yes, you got the same sheet opened. Okay. So now let me take you through the data, what we have with us, and what is the objective we are going to achieve out of this, that everything will get a first clarity and then we start working with it. Suppose say my boss asked me, Prabhas, get me entire 3 years revenue data. Entire 3 years revenue data. So I gave my respective T code in the SAP system and I could generate a report of last 3 years revenue data, and it is coming up near about 1 lakh line items like this. So how the data is, like name of the customer is there. These are the different product segments or the vehicle types we are into. And these are the products we are manufacturing in our facility. And these are the persons we have engaged to generate the revenue on behalf of the organization. Then these are the regions we are exported our products. And this is the invoice date, nothing but the billing date or order date, anything you name it. Sales in terms of US dollar, we are making the billing. You can make it INR in lakhs also, it's up to you. Year of incurrence of sale, month, quarter, and intermediate channel partner, if any, that list is also available. So it's a huge chunk of data, isn't it? And to be precise, I'll tell you, this is what the data we have taken of one unit, a car plant of Tata Motors. Okay. So now assume that we all are working in Tata Motors. So let's work together. Okay. And we need to present a information out of this in a report format and what exactly it is. So when I download this data and presented this data to my boss is saying this data is of no use for me. So why don't you do one thing, Prabhas? Prepare a report out of this. What I want is last 3 years, whatever the revenue we have generated based on the products, I want to see a crispy format of a report. Well, so one line, if you want to say, we have a huge chunk of data and my boss wants a summary out of this or a tabular presentation of the data or a crispy presentation of the data. Okay. So we know there is one tool in our Excel to summarize our data is called pivot table or pivot table. No problem. You might be working also with that. I don't deny. But the question is, we need to first ourselves, we need to ask whether our data is ready for pivot. This is the place where people never focus and later they struggle. So we do not want to commit that mistake anymore. So the question is, whenever you want to prepare a pivot table, what are the rules we need to furnish? What are the rules to be satisfied? So basically, there are three rules you need to always check or ensure that The data contains a field header. So whatever the data you have, it must contain a column header or field header. Okay. And no column header name should be duplicate. Like if you have two columns called customer you want to retain, you can have that, not an issue. But only thing is you need to name it as column one, column two, or customer one, customer two, something like that. So there should be always a unique column over there. All right. Yeah. Now coming to the next rule number two, the amount of data you have captured, you have downloaded, ensure there is no single cell as blank cell. So there should not be any blank cells in the range. Well, how to confirm that? We have discussed already in our day two, and the worksheet name is data clean one. So if I want to ensure I can select my data, Control G for go to dialog box will appear. I should go for special to click over here and then go to a special dialog box. There is an option called blanks. And when I check and click OK, I'll be getting a message. No cells were found. So it's a pretty simple message for me. In my data, there is no single cell as blank cell. And if at all blanks were there, definitely those cells would have been selected. And I should have replaced with something else like NA hyphen dash not available, anything. I could have done that. So this is what the rule number two, ensure in your data set there is no single cell as blank cell. So kindly confirm rule number two, is it satisfied? Able to check it on in front of your screen? Is there any blank cells or are you getting that no cells were found message? Control G, able to recall these things already we have done it. Special, blanks, and click OK. All right. Now, rule number three over here. Whenever you are working with your pivot table, ensure that the data doesn't have any kind of merge cells. No column should have your merge data because most of the time, what is the bad practice we have? We select multiple cells, we merge them, we define a header to that. See, that is meant for display, not for the calculations, because most of our Excel functionalities doesn't read your merge data. So it is always better, make a thumb rule, avoid using merge cells over there in your data sets. All right. So basically, having satisfied with all these three rules, if you want to prepare a pivot, our data is ready. But there is one more thing, as I told you, you have to always ensure whenever you download the data from SAP or ERP system, there are two areas where you always face the trouble. In day two, we already discussed that. Data clean two. What are they? Anybody can recall that? I told you in day two, sheet name data clean two. When you download the data from SAP or ERP, there are two areas where you'll be facing the trouble. What are those two areas? Anybody? Well, let me just recollect it for you. This is nothing but, no, not in a proper format, Tanuj, that part. I told you specifically two columns. Number will not be in number format, date will not be in date format. Able to recall? Yes, Narendra?
Yes, yes.
Right. So this shows there is a lack of practice from our side.
Prabhas, sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt.
Yes, no problem.
Recording हो रहा है ना means
Yes, it is being recorded.
because वो sign नहीं दिख रहा था. Sorry, sorry.
Don't worry, it is there in the top. It's in recording mode. Don't worry. So
Yeah.
here, the moment we have gone for this two columns, we have to ensure the data number should be in number format, date should be in date format, right? So now let us go and check that. First thing, there is a order date column you can see in front of your screen. Okay, this date column should be in date format. How will I ensure that? See, I keep my cursor in the first date. Okay, I select the rest. And how will I know that this date is in date format? I told you the other day, to convert any format to date format, what is the shortcut key?
Control Shift and 3.
Very good. So Control Shift and 3, the moment we go for it, it is changing the format to my date format. So if these changes are happening, so we are pretty sure our date is in proper date format. So this is the best way to check and ensure my date is compliant with proper date format. All right. Similarly, going to the sales USD, the number columns, which we need the most. And this number column, is there in proper number format or not? Let's go and check it out. Keeping the cursor in the first billing value, selecting the rest. And I told you to convert any format to number format.
Control Shift and Tilt.
No, Shantan. Control Shift and 1. That is for general. No problem. So Control Shift and Tilde for general. As we discussed, let me again quick refresh your memory. Control Shift and Tilde general, Control Shift 1 number, Control Shift 2 time, Control Shift 3 date, Control Shift 4 currency, Control Shift 5 percentage. So starting from tilde till 5, we have got all the respective formats. You can keep changing, customizing the data with combination Control and Shift. All right. So all these things we have already discussed, and that is also there listed in our keyboard shortcut list. Only thing is you have to spend time for practice. All right. Now, once we have confirmed all these things are done, then this number column post decimal 00, those characters are unwanted for me. So I can remove the same, going to home, decrease decimal, or I can go for Alt H9 twice, that I can do. So this is how we have understood that we should spend time first 2 to 3 minutes to confirm that our data is ready for next level, and we did that. Now there is a problem in our data. I will keep it to your notice, or I'll bring it to your notice. Just see. If you look at our order date and month column, can you see a problem? Can you somebody highlight that? What is the problem?
Order is on 3rd Jan
Mhm.
and month is in December.
So technically, is it possible, Santan, any point of time?
No.
So ideally, which one I can consider as a accurate data? Definitely order date only I can consider as my invoice date or billing date as an accurate data. So month is a problematic one now. So now the question is how to extract a month from a date. So anybody, we have already done in our day one, how to extract a month from a date. Did you remember we discussed about it?
E-date formula.
E-date formula, but what is the formula helps us extracting a month from a date?
E-date, then
No.
select the
No.
column.
No, Santan. No.
Date if
Date diff is to compute the difference between two setup of dates, Narendra. E-date, Santan, it is to calculate a future date, date of expiry, date of renewal, date of completion. But here the requirement is for month. So we need to identify a month. We need to extract a month. Did you remember a formula called text? Within two double quotes, D. We discussed all these things, correct? So these things you should have come. That's the reason I told you people, I requested several times, please practice well and come up with day 3, because all these things we are going to utilize. Anyway, so going forward, please make a note, practice well, because these things are very, very essential when you go for a real-time data. Okay. So now text, when I go for it, it wants me value. Value is nothing but my order date, comma, format text. So what I want within two double inverted quotes, I can type M4 times and it is done. So why M 4 times? We have already discussed to get the complete string of the month. If I reduce one M out of this, it will be giving only first three characters of the month, like our April, APR, January, JAN, like that, it will coming up. So I have done with this. Now the same, I can do one thing. I can double click on the fill handle and apply for the rest. So this is how we have rectified our month column. So please do it and confirm me in the chat box. Month is rectified. Good. Now, once we have done with this, always remember one thing. Whenever you want to prepare a pivot, first of all, select your whole data and convert the same into table. I told you in day 2 how to convert your data into table. What is the keyboard shortcut? Anybody?
Control T.
Very good. Control T. So T for Tango, T for table to convert your data into table. And the moment you hit enter, the data is converted into table. So these are the minimum requirements, people. First, you need to fulfill, and then you can go for the next level so that you are not going to struggle further anymore. And we have done with that. Now, once we have made it, Rachna, very good. So once we have made it, keep your cursor anywhere in the data set and go to your insert menu. In insert, when you go and navigate, the first option we do have called pivot table. Okay. I request just have a look at my screen. Here, people, what is the mistake they do? They go and navigate this pivot table options and they go and keep on working with all this. Don't do that. Okay. So always go for pivot table, just icon, click the icon. So this option is divided into two parts. Upper half is the icon, below half is the navigation button. So go for the icon. And when you go and click the icon with immediate effect, you will be getting a dialog box like this, where you can see the entire table data is already taken in the range. And this is demanding. Choose where you want the pivot table report to be placed. It is showing new worksheet. It is always better to present your data in a new worksheet so that it will be neat and clean and presentable. So having said this new worksheet selection and go and click OK, you will be finding a blank sheet is generated. And in the left side, if you notice, this is showing a box kind of stuff. This is called your pivot table area where pivot table is going to get generated. And inside that, can you see one green color name box is there? So this is nothing but it is a implied message that we are going to create a pivot, and this pivot is going to have a name called pivot table number 3. It might be pivot 1, pivot 2, name will be different case to case, nothing to be worried about. So now we have understood that each and every pivot table, they have their own unique name. And towards your right side, when you look at, there is a box over here in my screen. This is called pivot table field list box. Pivot table field list box. And towards your right side of my screen, you see there is a small boxes kind of structure naming called all these things. These are called field area. So this is called field list box. This is called field area. So we have only one action to do now. Whatever the fields we need it, that we need to simply drag and drop, drag and drop, drag and drop, and drag and drop. This is the only action we need to initiate. But one problem is my layout is not matching with yours. My layout is not matching with yours. Do you agree?
Yes.
Right. Now, if you compare which option is giving more space to work with, definitely mine, because you see, even though I have got another 10 fields also, I have got enough space to accommodate with. I no need to go for navigating or scrolling down over here. This is the beauty. So let us first go and bring our layout to a uniform format so that we can be in the equal page. So what you can do, people, you can see there is a settings button over here. Okay. In this settings button, when you navigate, there's an option called fields, items, and field section and area section side by side. This option you have to select. And once you do this, you'll be finding the similar layout like me.
Prabhas, please repeat which you said just now.
Yep. In the pivot table fields box, you have to go for a settings button from that second option. Right? Now, once we have done with this over here, as
This setting, is there anything related that older version में ये option नहीं है or something like that?
नहीं ऐसा कुछ नहीं. आप कौन से वर्जन में काम कर रहे हैं?
2010.
लास्ट टाइम आपने बोला कि आप चेंज करेंगे लैपटॉप.
No, only on weekends I get my husband's laptop. So
Okay, okay.
maybe tomorrow I'll be able to get it.
Yeah, if you can share your screen, I can guide you to
Yeah, just a
2010. ओके. हाँ, तो यहाँ पे 2010 में वो ऑप्शन नहीं है. You can't work out with that, but yes, we can just still check. The top right corner, there is a down arrow key mark. Yeah, below to that. Yeah, just go for this. Yes, click on that. Yeah, second one. It's there. Second one. Right. All right. So as we discussed, we got now our formatting or the pattern of our pivot table field list box with the unique format or uniform style. Don't worry. Now, as we discussed, we need to do the job, drag and drop. So the boss, whatever, I mean, my boss, whatever the report, what he had demanded, let's go and focus again. He has asked me last 3 years revenue data based on the products. All right. Now, I can go and drag and drop, no problem. But when I drag it, where to drop? I have got 4 choices, right? So how will I know the field which I am dragging, what will be the right field area? So there is also a rule you need to follow. What is the rule says? If you look at our pivot table fields area, there is a sigma value one option is there. It's a simple message that whichever the field you are going to drag it, if it contains the numeric or numbers in place, you must populate in the value field area. Why? Because if you bring the numbers over here in this area, you can play around with your multiple functions and formulas like sum, count, average, product, minimum, maximum. Or if you want, you can define your own logical conditions also. That's also possible. Okay. So that's the reason why we need to bring the numbers always in the value area. So we have a number billing column called sales USD. That is the place where all our revenue data is there, right? So let's bring sales USD to the value field area. Bring that. So first field, we have got it, sales USD in the value field area. Now, coming to the next, 3 years revenue data. So we have a field called year. You can take this year field and put it in the columns. Now, 3 different columns will generate with 3 different years revenue data. Now you can ask me a question, Prabhas, is there any hard and fast rule I should go and take year to the columns? Can't I take it to the rows? Yes, you can take it to the rows, not an issue, but the report structure will be changing. So 3 different years data in 3 different rows. Why I have taken to the columns? The reason is we have got also something else to bring it to our pivot data that is called our product. So product description one field is there that we can bring it to the row area. And the moment I bring it, you can see A beautiful summarized format of our data is ready. And the total is also there, 31,992,553. Kindly confirm you got the similar structure of your pivot. Yes, Rachna, what is the status? All right. Now, once we have done with this, no doubt we have come up with a summary of our entire 1 lakh reports, 1 lakh line items data, no doubt. But this data is not ready for dispatch. Yes. Why it is not ready for dispatch? If you remember, since day one, I keep on telling one thing. Numbers anybody can present, but what makes you different? Your presentation style. So always care for your formatting, your presentation. So now in this report, whatever the data is there, no doubt, it is going to match with the requirement, but presentation is not so eye-catching. So how to improve some kind of presentations style we are going to discuss now. See, first thing, if you look at the feel of our pivot table, it's not so great. So let's give some feel with some colors. How? Keeping the cursor in pivot, can you see one design button is activated in the ribbon menu? Extreme right, design is there. Maybe it would be options name for if you're working with 2007 or 10 version of Microsoft Excel. So there will be a tab called options or design or analyze or design or pivot table analyze or design could be the case. So last tab, whatever it is there, go for it. And there we have got different styles of our table, right? So going for the more options, when you navigate, it opens again with light, medium, and dark. Already we have seen all these things in our day one and day two as well. And I told you, out of these three styles, which style we should opt it all the time?
light or medium.
Light or medium. Very good. Why not the dark one?
It will make the file size heavier.
Very good. So always keep it in mind. Avoid using the dark colors the more. Okay, so I'll go for anything from the medium. If I take it and I choose it over here, you can notice this is ready with some kind of colorful presentation. And compared to last version, if you see now the pivot table look and feel is bit great. Yes, very good, Narendra. You remember? So now, once we have made it, what is the other problem in our data? Just have a look at my screen. No need to do anything. See, if I'm showing something, I'm showing this data to someone. This Bolt, Genex Nano, Hexa, Indica, what are they? They are my products, right? And that is what the field name we have, product description, right? But only thing is over here, the column field header, it is showing as row label. So this is the trouble. This is the problem. It doesn't show the exact column headers in the pivot table. And this is one major problem. Always it is there. So what we need to do, how to bring the same name over here as it is. Here our experts, they suggest us, don't worry, just go and type it manually. Do not ever change your pivot table fields manually. Because today you will not be getting those impact or changes or anything. Tomorrow, when you write some macro programming to automate your pivot reports and all those things, there the macro will stop. It will not work properly since you have edited the field manually. So now the question is how to get the exact field name, whatever we have in our field list box. So what you can do, the very beautiful option, keeping the cursor in pivot, going to design. And there, from the left, third option deals with report layout. And in this report layout, go for show in tabular form. I repeat, right click on pivot, going to design, Option number 3 from the left, report layout. Again, number 3 option, show in tabular form. And once you do this, can you see the respective field name automatically turns up? So product description, whatever it was, it is coming. And in the columns here, it was showing that all you chose column label. Now it is showing years also. So this is how the minimum requirement first you have to fulfill to make your presentation to the next level. All right. So I believe this is working for everyone. Any doubt, any queries so far? All right. Now, once we have done with this over here, then what we need to do, as I have been telling you, when you present your data as it is, nobody likes it. Always ensure that your data speaks a better story to the people. Even though a layman is sitting in the audience side, he can make out what you are trying to say. So, to present our data in a storytelling format, keep your cursor anywhere in the grand total column cell. So, in grand total, any cell you can select and go for right click upon the same. And we have an option over here, sort, and go for largest to smallest. So the moment you go for largest to smallest, with immediate effect, a beautiful story turned up. What is that? Anybody, whoever is looking at the data, he can make out from Indica, we got the maximum revenue, and from Jest, we have got the least revenue. Do you agree with me? Is it clearly visible, conveying the message? All right. Now, once we have made with this, we have understood how to create a pivot table out of a junk data, satisfying all the rules, doing the necessary checks, bringing the necessary formattings, and finally presenting the data in a storytelling format. So any doubt, any query in our first pivot table, what we have created? Right. So kindly rename the sheet as pivot 1. How to add product description. Yes, Rachna, you can keep your cursor in pivot, going to design, okay. In this, you have to go to our report layout option, show in tabular form. No problem. Fine then. So we got our first pivot table ready. Okay. Now do one thing. Just right click on sheet 1, whatever the pivot you have named as pivot 1, the sheet tab. Right click on sheet tab. All right. Now there's an option you'll be finding called move or copy. You can click on that move or copy option, and there, when you click, it will take you to a dialog box like this, and there you need to choose a option, create a copy. Checkbox is not activated. And once you select that checkbox and click OK, you can see one more pivot turns up. You can rename the same as pivot table number 2. Okay, so pivot 2 is ready. Now let's go and discuss what else we can do with regard to pivot table. Okay, now let's take an example. Okay, this is what I have presented to my boss. Whatever he was looking for, that data is ready. So last 3 years data in 3 different columns, he got it. And whatever the product wise information he was looking for, that information is also over here. Okay, so this is called your cross tab section. This is the type of report every time pivot turns up with. Now he's quite satisfied the way I have presented. And we know one thing, when boss is happy, what happens next? Yes, day one, day two already we discussed. Narendra?
You'll get extra work.
Right. So more work because the expectation level goes high. Same thing as we know already. And same thing happened with me. So he is telling me, Prabhas, you have given me last 3 years revenue data. That's fine. But I want to go for more deep dive analysis on the same, or I want to go for some macro level of analysis on the same. So what is the meaning by deep dive analysis or macro level of analysis? Let's see. Year-wise data we have presented. What max we can do? We can go for month-wise presentations also. If you want to compare, if you want to analyze, that is what. So same thing he's also expecting that we should go and present our data for month-wise analysis. So first thing first, do we have a field called month? Yes, we do have. So only thing is we need to take it to the right field area. So let's do one thing. Take month over there in the row area. Take month, drag it and drop it in the row area. Immediately your pivot table structure changes. Can you see that? So one thing we have understood that each and every pivot table is having its own unique story. So before presenting the data to the audience, we need to understand the table what we have prepared, what kind of information it is giving it to the people, or what kind of story it is going to give a brief of that to the people. We need to understand. So this report, though we have brought our month in the row area, what is happening? Let's go and analyze. See, my boss asked me, Prabhas, give me last 3 years revenue data. Did I give? Yes. Then what was his immediate requirement? Month-wise data to analyze. Have I given? Yes. But the report, if you look at where the preference is still there, the preference is lying only in product description. Month, though it is there, month has become secondary. Product is still playing the primary role. So this is what my boss has never demanded me. He was asking for only last 3 years revenue data with regard to the months. He has never emphasized upon the product description, right? So this is the reason why, though we got all the information, but the data is not ready for next level. So what we need to do over here is we can go to our row area. Product description is the first field. We can see also, you also can see on your screen. Okay. Now this field, I have to bring it down exactly below to month. So shifting the fields or interchanging the field area is nothing but we have to do that. Well, and once I do this, can you see again the structure changes? Month becomes primary, product becomes secondary, and 3 years data. Of course, this is what my boss was looking for. We got it. So please confirm you got the similar layout by simply bringing product description in the row area below to month. Right. Now, once we have done with this over here, then my boss is looking at the data. His focus has gone to the data area. Can you see in our data 2014, 2015, 2016, when you scroll, there are so many cells we have got blanks. Okay. So definitely people will be asking questions. And my boss also asked me, Prabhas, why there are so many blanks? So what's your belief? Why there are so many blanks? The moment we started working with pivot, we have satisfied with the rules that there was no blank cells, right? And we got the message also, no cells were found. But still pivot is carrying the blanks. So what is the message? Why there are so many blanks? Any idea? Anybody?
Business is not done in that month for that particular product.
Simple. So during that particular year and for that particular month, we have never raised a single invoice. Like say, take an example, in 2014, during the month of January, we have never raised a invoice for Jest. So there is no sales of Jest product. That's why it is not appearing. So this is what I have understood because I am dealing with the data. But the person, whomever I send the data, they will be asking this kind of question. And when they are asking question, it's my duty to explain. So same thing I have to explain for 5 different people for 5 different times. So whose premium time is being wasted in that? Yes, people. डेफिनेटली इट्स आवर्स है कि नहीं. तो जब हम अपना टाइम यहाँ पे वेस्ट हो रहा है, isn't our time is precious for us? Of course it is. Then who is the reason behind it? Who is held responsible for that? Because though our time is wasted or it's organization's time, 10 to 6 or whatever the timeline we are working, right? So of course, it's not the mistake of my boss or it's not my mistake of my audience. So any point of time, we cannot blame to our audience. That's ruled out completely. So it's the mistake of mine, definitely. So what's my duty? The moment I dispatch the report to the next level, it was my duty to replace all these blank cells with some kind of predefined text, zero, hyphen, nil, not available, not applicable. Then only I could stop people asking unwanted questions, right? That thing not happen. But how to do that? Find and replace will not work. Yes. Find and replace is meant for the normal Excel sheet data, not for the pivot table. So here, how to deal with that? I'll tell you very beautiful information. Just see, keeping the cursor anywhere in pivot, going for right click upon the same, and the moment you see from the bottom, there is a second option called pivot table options. And when you go for this pivot table options and if you click, with immediate effect, a dialog box appears where we have our option for empty cells show. One blank box is there. And there you can type anything, whatever you want. Zero, hyphen, nil, not available, dash, anything. But I would always suggest go for zero since we are dealing with numbers. And once you define zero over here and click OK, with immediate effect, you will be getting all these blank cells, whatever we had, those are replaced with zero. All right, see how soon it had happened now. So this is what we have to first ensure. Okay, we did it. Now, my boss is watching my data and he is looking at one by one product. The moment he reaching to the last product of the first month, say in this case, Tiago, and he's unable to make out which month that product is. So he has to look back. Then only he realizes this is of Jan month product. And he is not comfortable reading the data in that way. So he's telling me, Prabhas, why don't you do something in the month column that each and every row items should contain the month name so that when I go on checking the data, when I'm going on reading the data, it will not be difficult for me to make out which month that product belongs to or pertaining to. So basically, in one line, if you want to say, my boss wants me to fill the month column with the respective month names in the blank cells. And this is what we did in our day two, the sheet name called data fill. When you have regular intervals, some blank cells in place, how to replace those blanks with the respective city names or store details and present your information. These things we have already discussed. But those things are not applicable in pivot. Yes, that is meant for normal Excel sheet data. And in pivot, you don't need to struggle also. It's pretty easy in pivot. See how? Keeping your cursor anywhere in the pivot, going to design, and from the left, third option, same report layout. And there we have an option. Repeat all item labels. Repeat all item labels. And immediately your month column will be filled up with the respective month names. Just confirm, please. Did you get all these things?
Prabhas, I'm using 2007 version right now.
It's not available. In 2007, it's
Yeah,
not available. Why you have gone to the dark age?
no, actually today I'm working on a different laptop and the updated version is not installed in this file. That's why.
Oh my God. So today only you happen to do that because so many features are missing in 2007 if you talk about pivot table. Anyway, you can follow the recordings. You can watch my screen when you upgrade your system or you work with a different laptop. You can practice with that. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. So now the moment we have done with this, so pivot table number two, the story is clear and what we did, how to interchange the fields, how to replace the blanks, and how to use this repeat all item labels. We have witnessed that. Now we'll go for right click on pivot to sheet name and go for move or copy. Then create a copy checkbox you can activate. And click OK. So one more pivot turns up. You can rename the same as pivot table number three. So now we are going to see what else we can do with regard to pivot table. Okay. Now, this is what I have presented to my boss. Just watch my screen, please. Last 3 years revenue data is there. Month-wise data we have presented. He's quite happy, no doubt. Now, what he's telling me, Prabhas, this report pattern is very good. I liked it. But I am done with the product. Product-wise analysis, I am done with that. Now I want to do customer-wise analysis. Customer-wise analysis. So in one line, if you want to say, my boss doesn't want product-wise data. My boss wants customer in place of product. So first thing first, whichever it is unwanted product description that you can remove. Just if you are in 2013 and above versions, you have a checkbox kind of options would be there. You can deactivate. If you do not find checkboxes, you can do one thing, simply same field from the row area, product description, drag and drop it back. So whichever, it depends on the versions you are comfortable, you can use it. Objective, product descriptions to be removed out of the pivot table. Then what my boss wants, customer wise data. So you can bring customer from the pivot table field again to the row area and immediately your customer wise data will be appearing. So check, have you received the similar format of your pivot? Product descriptions removed, customer in. All right. So now, once we have done with this, let's go and discuss what else we can do with regard to pivot. See, now first 1 minute, watch my screen. My boss is looking at the data and he started analyzing upon the same. So first customer, who is that? Al Hamid Automobiles. Okay. Now he just checking on the same that Jan month 2014, there is no business. Yes, there is no business. And when you scroll down, Feb month, some business is there, good sign, no issues. March, no sign of that customer name at all. April, again, no business. May, there is no business again. June also no business. So like this, a particular customer data he wants to analyze for the whole year, he has to scroll down 12 times. Can you see that? And that is what he's not comfortable doing it. Nobody will be. So what my boss is saying now, Prabhas, data is there, you have got it, but it is not giving a comfort zone to read the data properly. So why don't you do one thing? Prepare a report in such a way, whenever I open the file, it should show me the entire information of all the customers, all the details at once. I no need to navigate. I no need to follow up with that. I no need to go for scrolling here and there. This is what my boss is asking. So how to present it? Just say over here, the month column, if you look at it, is there in the row area. Of course, that you bring it to the columns. And immediately you can see your pivot structure is changing. All these customers data you can see at once. But the problem is, if you look at how many columns you have landed up with, see, there are 41 columns over here. So how will you take a printout of this 41 columns if your boss asked you to get a printout of the report once it is ready? So do you think that it's possible to showcase all the 41 columns of data in one page of A4 sheet? Right? It's not possible, because if you try to go for fit to page, or if you go and bring entire thing into one page report, that font size will not be in a readable format. So that's not the ideal process. So how to present it effectively? Just see. Over here, I'll do one thing. Just 1 minute, watch my screen. When I go and brought this data, there is a cell called 2014 in column B. In column B, 2014 is there. Yes. I will just right click upon the same, and we have an option over here, naming called our expand and collapse. And when I navigate through this expand and collapse field, there is an option called collapse entire field. And when I go and click OK, OK over here, automatically, can you see a beautiful structure of our entire 3 years report is turning up, creating a plus symbol in those column headers. So this is called nothing but your radio button. So this plus symbol is called as radio button. So any point of time, if my boss wants to see only 2016 data, he has to simply click on the plus symbol. Only 2016 data alone is expanded. And before 2016, whatever the data, it is not showing the month details. It is just only showing the entire year details. So unwanted data we are not showing to the people. Unwanted questions are not going to come. And once the presentation is over, if you want to present again in this uh, crispy format, so you can click on that plus symbol again. So this is how people you can work around with your expand and collapse button, and you can make a precise report out of this. So can you just check it out? Is it working? Looks good, helpful. What's it? All right. So pivot 3. Any doubt, any queries for anybody?
One thing I just want to know about this expand or collapse.
Yeah.
We can do the another thing that year in a filter column. Means in 2014, the year in the filter, so that we can filter one by one year and we can see the data.
No, that is always there. That is always there. But if you go for it, you cannot see all these 3 years filter in one shot. See, you can bring it filter over here, year into the filter. But on a click of button only, everything will appear. You cannot have 3 different columns of your 3 different years over there, right? So say take an example. If I go for right click on pivot 3, move or copy, create a copy. Okay. Now if I take this year into filter, now what happens? My entire month data is 12 months data is available, but it is of all these 3 years, correct? So I cannot see all these 3 years data at once, right? So I have to go again one by one only. I have to keep on working with it. So this is my 2014. Again, I have to go and check 2015. This is how I will be checking 2015, right? But here, what is happening? These are two different stories. So here, entire 3 years data is there. I can see. If I want to still drill down, I can see the particular year's data, month-wise records. I can check it out also. So when I'm checking only 1 year data, there is no point of expanding this 2 years data also. That is what unwanted, we call it as. When people are demanding to see only 2016, there's no point of showing 2014 and 2015 data also as well.
Okay,
Right.
understood.
Right. All right. So let's go and prepare one more pivot. So right click on pivot 3, sheet name, move or copy, create a copy and click OK. So one more pivot turns up. You can rename the same as pivot table number 4.
Prabhas, can
Yeah.
you repeat that? How did we collapse that?
Yeah. 2014, you have got in column B, right click, expand and collapse, collapse entire field.
Okay.
All right. So we have done with that. Now, what we did in the previous pivot table or pivot table number 3, whatever the exercise we did, anybody can do that. Do you agree with me? It's a simple feature available on the right click. So don't you think that it will be also available for other people and they also can avail the same functions in a simple right click? Yes, they can. Now the question is how to make our presentation different, because that is where I am always emphasizing upon since day one, if you remember. So how to make this presentation different from others? Now you are ready to answer that question. So can you give me some ideas, anybody? Yes, Niranjan, what can be done in your opinion? सैंतन, व्हाट्स योर ओपिनियन? क्या कर सकते हैं यहाँ पे? और तनुज?
In
Yeah.
my opinion, we can do that, convert it in a table format.
It's
So,
already in table, Santhan, for your information. It's already in
yes.
table format. That's what we have already explored.
And one more thing that in graphical presentation, we also do.
Graphical,
Yes.
what kind of graphical present? You mean to say charts and graphs?
Charts and graphs means the
Okay.
grand total, which one of the customers is doing the highest number of sale. That we can do.
Okay, so you can set your order like right click, sort, and we can go for largest to smallest. So from Globus data, we have getting more business, and from Concord Motors, we got least business.
Yes.
Okay, that can be done. That's a good one. What else?
Month-wise and customer-wise contribution to total sales year-wise.
Okay, so year-wise, you can bring the data in terms of percentage and you can get it done. Well, that's a good one. Yes. Well, as I told you, always
We
think
can
of
do
yeah.
YOY also in this.
Year on year.
Year on year.
Okay.
Year on year growth.
Yeah. So this column, we have to minus by this column again 26 minus by 2015 like that. So all these columns will be adding next to the pivot data, correct? Whatever we are discussing.
Yes.
Right. No doubt. Those things are quite informative. Definitely. I don't deny about it. But if you remember, I told you something in our day two. Always present your data with some kind of visuals to give more visual appeal to the presentation and instant information, because when you present your data with numbers, lakhs, crores, billions, millions, people don't have time to go through this and make out the story out of this. So how to add some visuals? Did you remember in day two the visuals we have already discussed? What are they? Data bars, spark lines, icon sets, right, people? Let me.
Yes. Even people graph also.
Absolutely. So those things we have already discussed, and I told you how this is playing a role in terms of enriching our data or making it more visually appealing over here. All these things we have discussed, correct? So always think about it, how to add all this information, right? So let me take you through. So just 1 minute, watch my screen. I'm not doing anything extraordinary or new, something which I've already done, but how to add it over here. See, just 1 minute, watch my screen, observe what I'm doing. I will create a column naming called visual. To give a feel as if this is the property of pivot table, I will be applying the similar formatting over here. Okay. Now, once I do this little bit, I will expand the column and I'll take my first customer, that is Globus Data. Since I have sorted my data, it has come as Globus Data. For your case, it may be having Al Hamid Automobiles. So you can sort it, not issue. So I have taken last 3 years data of that particular customer. I have gone to insert, and there we have seen other day three different types of sparkline: line, column, win or loss. We have already discussed about column. So today I am going to take you through line. And when I go for the line option, it demands me, where is the data? Data is already selected. Now, where is the location? Location, visual column, first cell. And the moment I click OK, you will be finding more or less kind of a line graph. It is showing for these 3 years, three data points. But to give a more attractive feeling, you can see there is a button activated in the ribbon tab extreme right, naming called Sparkline Options Design, depending upon the versions again. And there's an option called Markers. And when I go for this markers button to check, can you see a beautiful markers will be added in this line graph, and the same. Now I am going to drag it down for rest of all the customers and see the beauty. People will love to see this and this. Nobody is going to read your data because people don't have time. Now this is more expressive. How? You can see, though Globus data, we are making the maximum revenue overall, but year wise, if you see compared to last year, volume is decreasing. Can you see that? Overall, it is giving more revenue for last 3 years if you go for cumulative or accumulation of the data. But last year to this year, revenue is decreasing. Whereas Arya Motors is performing well compared to last year, volume is increasing. Good sign. Then Power Auto World, again, it is going down. Serious case, we have to really check it out. What is the reason behind the same? Malwa Auto, again going down. But if you look at the other case, like in our case of Al Hamid Automobiles, compared to last year, this year, if you see, so consistency is being maintained. So that's a good sign. So this is how it will be easy to analyze and giving an instant information over here, right? So without making our file size heavy, without spending much time, making our data more informative. This is what the better option. So please give it a try and check it out.
Prabhas,
Yeah.
I got stuck in the previous sheet actually.
Mhm.
My data has not been collapsed, so it's like that only.
Okay, could you please share your screen? Let me have a look. No issues.
Is it visible?
Not yet.
Now?
Yeah, it's getting loaded. Okay. 20s. Okay, 2007. See, there are a lot of challenges will be there in this. But anyway, we'll see that. Not a problem. So you have got month over here, Jan. Okay. But where is the year? I mean, how come it has come like this? Hmm. Okay, just do undo. Do it undo over there. All right. Let's do one thing. Mm, okay. Yes, you got your details. Bring the month below to the year. You have done the reverse one. Bring the month below to the year. Yes. Right.
Okay.
Well, people, I believe everybody is getting the same. Any doubt, any queries? So this is how the moment you take the same and present in PowerPoint also, it will be giving a meaningful presentations. So small things makes a huge impact. So
Prabhas, I
yeah,
did halfway. That highlighting thing I missed out. Year on year, there is a dot.
yeah, you can select one of the Sparkline, the last tab which turns up in the extreme right of the ribbon. There is a markers options over here.
Okay.
Hope this is working. Clear, people? Fine. Now, once we have done with this, our pivot 4 story is over. How to give add-on to the data, making it more informative. We are clear with that. Now, right click on pivot 4 sheet name, move or copy, create a copy checkbox you can activate and click OK. So pivot 5, you can rename the same as pivot 5 and we got another pivot table ready. Okay. Now this visual column is unwanted. You can select like this from the column header and delete it. Just don't press the delete button, go for control minus because mere deleting the data, sometimes it will not work. Better to go and remove the entire column, selecting the same control minus. Now this pivot work is over. Whatever the unwanted data like customer, you can remove. Month, you can remove. What was the first pivot table? Product description in the rows. So this is what the first pivot table we had created. So kindly bring the structure back, what we had in our first pivot table. Now, once we have done with this, let's focus. What is the next requirement now? It is coming up from my boss. He is telling, Prabhas, this pattern is really good. I like it. You have given me last 3 years revenue data over here. Along with that, these are the products you have given me. So this pattern, I liked it. No issues. But you have given me only the last 3 years revenue data. Okay. What I want to know is, to generate this much of revenue, how much incentives we have paid. To generate this much revenue, how much incentives we have paid, my boss wants to know that. Well, so first thing first, do I have a field called incentive? Check it out, please. In our field list box, do we have an option called incentive? No. So we do not have a incentive column. Well, keep that things on hold. Now, incentive, technically whom we pay? To our salesman, salespersons or sales agents. Okay. So whom we have paid, my boss is not interested to know about it. How much we have paid only he wants to know. And for that, we do not have data. Now, suppose say take an example. In our Tata Motors, we have got a uniform policy. Whoever the person makes the billing, the sales person from north, south, east, west, or central zone he is working with, he will be entitled for 2% incentive. Suppose he makes a billing of 100 rupees, 2 rupees will be automatically credited to his account. Okay. So we do not have the data, but we know how to compute it. So if that is the case, how to bring our incentive data in pivot table? That is the objective. So when you do not have the data, we do have an option going back to the source data. Let's go back. So when you go back to the source data, what is the last column we have? The last column is our channel partners. Keep the cursor next to it. And define the new column, incentive. And the moment you hit enter, see the beauty, what happens? These things already we discussed, that because of format as table option, the format automatically carried forward to the next column. Or if you are appending the data in the rows, the formatting will be carried forward to the next row items as well. Now coming to the formula, incentive calculations purpose, 2% on the billing column. So equal to billing column, sales USD. So when you take and refer sales USD column, it takes at the rate symbols, square brackets and all. And we also discussed this. This is the default formatting pattern in tabular calculations. So we don't need to be worried about it. Simply multiplying by 2%. And once you define and hit enter, see the beauty? What happens? It is not only applying to a cell, but also the entire column. So this is how we got our incentive column ready. Kindly confirm incentive column is ready.
Can you please explain this again? Because I am not in there.
So then please avoid that, because see, if you do not understand, I can repeat 1,000 times, no issues. But if you miss that and come back, because other persons are also waiting, I don't mind this time to repeat it, but please avoid that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right. See, basically the objective is over here. When we prepare the pivot table, my boss wants to know, to generate this much of revenue, how much incentives we have paid. Since we do not have the incentive ready-made column, we have to go back to our existing data sheet, the source data, and we need to create an incentive column for that. So that is what we are doing. So you can come back to the summary table data sheet, create a new column, naming called incentive. So automatically the same format will be applied because it is already in format as table options. And only thing is you need to apply the formula. So what is the formula? Suppose say we have a uniform policy. Whatever the billing we make, from that we declare as 2% incentive. So this is the formula we had applied. You can complete the process.
Boss,
Yes,
I have one query.
please ask.
See,
Yes, done.
this,
Okay. Yes, Narendra, continue.
so This applies when there is a one formula for that. For example, for channel partner, we are uniformly giving 2%.
Right.
For example, say like in quarter one, I am giving 2%. Quarter two, I am giving 3%. Might be quarter three, I am giving 5%.
Right.
Then it will apply to entire column, and that will the calculations get.
Of course, if see, this option is being designed when your things are uniform. Like suppose say you have a uniform slab for all the customers, then you should opt it.
Right.
If you have got a variable discount percentage or incentive percentage depending upon the order value, order quantity, or sales value or sales quantity, you should maintain one predefined column, and based on that, based on the name of the customer or based on the volume of whatever the order, you have to define. So that you have to predefine, you have to create a ready-made column. You cannot go like this. So this option is being designed for a standard procedure. Like suppose you have a uniform value for every one or every variations or every variable, you can use this.
Because in practical example, I can give you for a insurance sector, we have quarter three and quarter four are important. So
Right, understood, understood,
more
understood.
insight.
Understood. I am not denying about that. You are absolutely right. See, I am just giving you a flavor that when you do not have the data, how to add on to it immediately. So rather creating a column next to the pivot and giving the details, you should always give a property in the pivot table only. You should not go and keep some adding columns next to the pivot table because that is never going to be integrated. This is your normal Excel sheet data. This is your pivot table data. So it is of two different worlds. So people have the practice creating the data next to the pivot table immediately. So that you should avoid, because tomorrow when you interchange the field, those fields are not going to be changed automatically. All right. So here, the moment we go for this, our summary table incentive column is ready. So we now all are in equal page. Okay. And now the same, we need to bring it to pivot. So go back to your pivot table number 5. Basically below two channel partners, we do not have the incentive one. Yes, of course. So no need to be worried about. Simple go for pivot table and right click on pivot. Right click on pivot and we have an option over here called refresh. So when you go for refresh with immediate effect, you can find our incentive field is also populated below two channel partners. Did you know how and why this is happening with immediate effect? Because of format as table. In normal course of action with refresh button, you cannot have your incentive over here. You need to always choose your change data source always. That is what the practice you had to go all the time. But today, since we have converted into table, one more advantage we saw. An incentive, what kind of data is holding? It is holding the numbers. What is the right field area? Should be going for values. Yes. And see the beauty. With immediate effect, you will be having one incentive column over here ready. And along with that, our year-wise incentive also will be getting it in place. So this is how people, we have understood a simple concept. If you do not have the data, we do have always a choice. Going back to the data, creating a new column, same, we can bring it to pivot table. That's the story of our pivot table number 5. Any doubt, any queries in pivot 5, anybody? All right, so now we are going to discuss the next thing. Right click on pivot 5 sheet name, move or copy. Create a copy checkbox you can activate and click OK. So one more pivot turns up. You can rename the same as pivot table number 6. So our incentive work is over. You can deactivate that field incentive. Okay. And we got our pivot table structure back. The first pivot table what we have created. Now, once we have done with this over here, let's see what my boss is looking for. What's the next options? Please stay focused. Now I'm going to tell you a very beautiful concept of our pivot. Okay. I have presented this data. He has done with the incentive also. He was quite happy. He got the results. He able to compare the data, revenue versus incentive. It completely fine. Now looking at the data, he is telling me, Prabhas, this is fine. You gave me incentive. But now what I want to know is, while making this much of billing, while generating all these invoices, how much discounts we have given to our customers. I want to know that. So basically in one line, if you want to say, my boss wants to compare the data, billing amount versus discount amount. He wants to check. So how will you do that? First thing first again, as I told you, check. Do you have a field called discount, people? In the pivot table field list box, do you have a field called discount? We do not have, isn't it? Well, keep that things on hold. Like incentive, we have a uniform policy in our Tata Motors about the discount is uniformly we give 5% discount to everyone. Though a customer is purchasing bulk quantity or a small quantity, doesn't make a difference. Irrespective of any customer, we give uniformly 5% discount. Suppose if that is the case, then how to bring our discount column in pivot table? That is the question. So any idea? Anybody?
Just like incentive will recalculate it.
Simple. So no need to do that now. Let's go and analyze that. Going to our source data, creating a new column, populating the formula, applying the same for the whole range, bringing the same into pivot table, right click refresh and populating in the value field area. How much time we have taken? Roughly 2 to 5 minutes. Do you agree? The entire exercise to execute, we have taken 2 to 5 minutes of time. So one end, 5 minutes of quality time is being spent, which is a waste of time. Yes, waste of time. Besides that, when you go to your source data, add a new column, you are making your file size heavy. Do you agree with me? See, this is what we have to be careful. People will tell you, people will suggest you, but should I take that option? Or if I opt it, do I have any disadvantages of taking it? So these are the disadvantages. And this is the reason why. If you remember, I told you in day one itself, always try to keep your file length or file size minimum. Avoid using many more if formulas, unwanted columns. You should always avoid that. Well, now if that is the case, then how to get my discount column in pivot table without creating the source data, without populating the data in source data sheet, how to create a discount column, and that too, it should be the property of pivot table. I should not go and create the outside range summary of the pivot table. Well, in that is the case, then do one thing. Keep your cursor in your grand total. Keep your cursor in the grand total. And there you have an option called analyze or pivot table analyze or options depending upon the version of your Excel you're working with. What is that? Analyze, pivot table analyze or options. Anything is there, you go there. And we have a option called fields, items, and sets. If you are working from 2010 and above, you will be finding fields, items, and sets. If you are in 2007, there will be an option called formulas tab. In the same options, formulas one tab will be there. You can choose formulas. And within that option called calculated field you have. And when you go to this calculated field, okay, it will take you to a dialog box where you have to define the first criteria. What's that name? What should be the name of the new field? Should be discount. Okay, given. Next criteria is the formula. Whatever is there in the formula box, please delete it. Make it clean. The formula box has to be clean. Okay. Now, what should be the formula for discount calculations as we discussed? 5% on the billing column. So billing column you see in the field list category, there is a sales USD field is there. I can simply select and double click and this will be embedded in my formula box. Then multiply 5% and the moment I go for this, job is done. So what we did, I will take you through. First, we have kept our cursor over there in the grand total. Then we have gone for our option pivot table analyze, fields, items and sets, insert calculated field. Then we have gone for field name to discount. Then sales USD double click, 5% multiplied with that, then OK button. We have clicked all these things. Okay. Now, once you have done with this, you got another field ready. Naming call total discount and as well as year-wise discounts also we got it.
Prabhas, need help for a minute.
Sure.
Is it available in 2010 version or with some other name?
No.
Can I share my screen for, for a minute?
Yes, you can. Yeah, you can keep your cursor in the grand total, fine. You can go to options, second last from the right side. Yeah. There's an option called fields, items, and sets towards your right. Fields, items, and sets. No. Towards a little bit left. There. Calculate field. Name it as discount. Then formula box, make it clean. No. Formula box, make it clean first. Yeah, double click on sales USD. Then multiply by 5%. Then click OK. All right. So I'm taking the control back on the screen. I believe everybody's clear. So what you have understood from this exercise, anybody?
To do it then and there without going back to the data in Excel.
Right. So what we did for discount, we could have done same for the incentive as well. But why did I take you through all these things? This is the practice. It has been developed in the industries. And most of the time, people will suggest you to do the job like this. So when you have a ready-made column, you can make use of that. You can apply your formula by using that column and automatically see the beauty. The discount column is automatically populating to the value field area. I don't need to do a separate activity for the same. That's the beauty. So there is no limitations with regard to your calculated field or virtual field like this. N number of fields you want, you can keep creating. And the beauty is it is not going to create any data in your source data sheet. That's what the beauty. So here in one line, if you want to say incentive is your real-time field, discount is your virtual field or calculated field. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Narendra, any questions? Shantan?
Yeah, again, the same question is like uniformly we are doing 5% this discount.
Yeah,
So
that
for
is, yeah, that
customize, we need
is,
to
yes, that is always there. If you have something variable cases, if you have got multiple percentages over there, you have to always create the source data. There is no such kind of provision in pivot you can consider, because how pivot will consider what is the base? Is your customer code, customer name, or it's the vendor code, vendor name, how it will know? So such kind of provisions are not there.
But this is a good feature.
Yeah.
In fact, I just gone through this main data. This column is not added.
Yes.
Just in the pivot table.
Yes, because I told you the reason. I mean, why we could not opt these options, because this is making my file size heavy, because my source data has to be loaded with some data again. And when you have again 1 lakh row items with having the formulas, it will make you another 5 MB size more. So file, that's what all the time you have to be careful about your file property, file size. All right. So here, one thing you could have asked, I was expecting a question from your side. I thought you guys are quite experienced and you should be sharing your experience also. No problem. You will not able to connect with that at this time. One thing is, suppose you have created today this kind of formulated fields or calculated fields, but while doing this procedure, you have made some mistakes. Now the question you should have asked me, Prabhas, do I need to recreate the entire process, or is there any provision I could edit my existing field? Am I right? This kind of question should come. Yes or no?
Yes.
Right.
In fact, I have not renamed that discount column.
Right. Okay.
It's been one.
No problem. So that is not going to be more helpful to you what we are going to discuss. Anyway,
Yes.
so people, please remember, any point of time, if you want to edit the field, you don't need to go for recreating the fields. You can edit the same field. You can delete the same field also. But how? See the beauty. I will keep my cursor anywhere in pivot. Okay. I will go to same fields, items, and sets. First, watch my screen for a minute. And same calculate field. The way you have designed that field, similar fashion, you have to go for the procedure. But only thing is, once you come to this insert calculate field box, there is a drop down you will be finding. In this drop down, you will be finding all the fields list which you have created already. Since we have only one, I have got one. So I'll select that. And whatever the changes now, if there is a spelling mistake, I can rectify. If there is a formula percentage mistake, I can rectify now. And then I need to go and click OK. This is one. If you do not want this discount field to be there, you can go and click the delete button from this and click OK. So this is how you can edit your existing calculated field. Okay. So able to follow all these steps. So this is how, people, we have understood the advantage of our calculated field. Tanuj, able to follow?
Yes, Prabhas.
Right. Fine. So I believe rest of people, Rachna, Santhan, Shruti, all are clear. All right. Now let us do one thing. Right click on pivot 6 sheet name, move or copy, create a copy, checkbox you can activate and click OK. So one more pivot turns up, you can rename the same as pivot table number 7. So our discount work is over. You can deactivate the discount field. Don't be panic. Even though you deactivate, that field will be going to be the property of your pivot table only. Again, if you want, you can bring it back. So this is nowhere going to disappear. So don't worry about it. All right. So we got our structure again, the first pivot table, whatever we had created. Now let's stay focused. Again, I'm going to tell you one more beautiful concept of our pivot. See, this is what the data, suppose say our friend, Shruti, she has presented to Narendra. So Shruti and Narendra, I'm taking your name for the story. Is that okay? Any objection?
Yes, no problem.
Thank you so much. So Shruti has created beautiful presentations and presented the same to Narendra. Narendra is watching the data and he is telling to Shruti, Shruti, this pattern is really good, working for me. And I like it. The way you have presented it is giving the entire history and I'm able to analyze the data properly. This is what Narendra is saying. But you have given me only one pivot table. Yes, one pivot table. What I'm expecting, Narendra is saying that this kind of pivot table, this kind of pattern pivot table, I want for multiple salesmans. So salesman wise pivot table, Narendra is expecting now. Pattern should remain the same, but multiple pivot tables should be there based on the salesman. So if that is the case, how we are going to deal with the same? Yes, we'll start from Shruti. So Shruti, what's your opinion? If the story is clear, entire ask is clear, how will you start with? What you are going to do?
It looks something which is very much time taking. So the knowledge which I have currently, I'll make for each one again.
Okay. Fine then. Anybody else would like to give a helping hand to Shruti? Tanuj? Okay, let's work together. Don't do anything, please, on the screen. Watch my screen. I am doing on behalf of all. Okay. Now, if this is the scenario, what Shruti is going to do, as usual, we know the first thing first. We need to check, do we have a field related to salesman or sales agent or salesperson something? Yes, we do have, right? So the field, I will be taking it to the columns. What happens? My data is there, salesperson, but pivot table is getting disturbed and the salesman details are missing. So this pattern is ruled out. It is not giving any sense. Now again, Shruti has taken this to the row area. What happened? Entire pivot table structure changes. Layout is getting deferred. So this is also not going to help. Then Shruti has taken this to the filter area. So far she has not used this, so she has taken this. Now what happens? Just see. The patterns remain the same, whatever Narendra was asking, and about to that in pivot table, salesperson detail also it's visible. Now, what Shruti is doing over here, she'll go to this filter, choose SM1 and click OK. And then this data is coming up properly without disturbing the pattern. So she's quite happy now. She got the answer and immediately she expressed the same to Narendra also. That Narendra, if you are looking for multiple pivot table based on the salesman, what you need to do is you need to go and first just check the filter to salesman 1. And once your pivot is turning up like this is what entire data of salesman 1. You need to insert a new worksheet. You need to copy this pivot table. You need to paste it. And this is what the action you have to repeat for number of times, depending upon the number of salesperson. This is what the kind of suggestion advice given by our Shruti to Narendra. So Narendra, will you be happy with the answer, the way Shruti has explained?
No.
Definitely
He will
not.
fire me.
Good one. So definitely one thing over here, when I suggested the same to my boss like this, would you like to know what was the reaction? He has listened the whole story. He looked at my data. He looked at me. He gave a plastic smile. You know, bosses are good at smiling. The plastic smile, what does it mean? The smile which is not natural. And he told me also, Prabhas, I am really impressed with your smartness. The way you have diverted the entire responsibility towards me, I like that. Now, if I am going to do your work, let's do one thing. Tomorrow morning when you come to office, please bring your resignation letter with you. I would be happy to sign on that. This is the kind of reaction my boss had given. Anybody will do that. Yes or no?
Yes.
So, what is now the objective? What is the requirement? Let's go and check it out. See, no need to do anything. First, try to understand the pain of the work. In this juncture, my friends, Narendra, Narendra, what he's expecting from Shruti, I'll tell you. No need to do anything, just try to understand what is the objective. Suppose we are working with a global report and we have got 200 salesmen. So first job is what Narendra is expecting from Shruti is Shruti has to go and insert worksheets. How many people? 200, right? So 200 people, 200 worksheets. That is the first job. Job number two, Shruti has to copy pivot table and paste for how many times? 200 times. Do you agree? Job number three, again, Shruti has to go and check filters with salesman name for how many times? 200 times. So total how many tasks? 600 tasks. That's also not enough for Narendra. Finally, he is expecting that Shruti should go and rename worksheets with the salesman name and that too 200 times. So total, how much task? 800. This is what the task Narendra is expecting from Shruti. So how long it will be taking for you, Shruti?
2-3 days.
2-3 days. Okay, fine. I appreciate your honest answer. But Narendra, do you have that much of patience to wait for 3 days? Nobody will be having that. Trust me. Now, Narendra has no other choice. His best teammate is asking for 3 days. So somewhere he's not convinced, but he has no other choice. He has allotted this task and he said, okay, please get it done. But that is going to give a negative impact in the KRA report of Shruti. And when KRA report is negative, that is going to give an impact to your appraisal system also. Shruti, do you agree with that?
Yes, it will surely
Right.
impact it.
Yes. So this is the place where people, we have to work hard. Even though you work hard doesn't make any sense, what you have to do, work smart, right? So imagine that entire 3 days of job, if I could make it happen for you just in 10 seconds on a click of button, how much of quality time you are going to save? Imagine, isn't it? So let's do that now. So understanding the entire objective of this work, what exactly Narendra is expecting, how to do it. So first 1 minute, watch my screen. So first thing first, based on which field my boss is expecting multiple reports based on the salesperson. So I took salespersons to the filter area. This is the first thing. So when I took this, you could notice above to the pivot table, I got a filter button also activated over there. I should not click the filter button. Of course, I should select that cell only. Okay. And once I select that cell, if I go to my analyze options or pivot table analyze, whatever the options it is showing over there, you can see very first option is pivot table. Within that, pivot table name is there. Yes. Within pivot table name, there is a options tab also is there. Don't click that option. Next to options, there is a tiny button. This is called drop down buttons. And if you go and click this over here, it opens up with 3 different options: naming, options, show report filter pages, generate get pivot data. I will go for show report filter pages. And when I go for this, a dialog box appears showing the list of fields. So which field is already selection? Salesperson. Try to recall, boss is also expecting based on the salesman wise multiple reports. Or Narendra is expecting salesman wise multiple reports. Yes. Now just go and click OK and see the beauty on your blink of your eyes. Your pivot table will start exporting the data into multiple reports. Filter is selected with the salesman name. Pivot table patterns remains the same. And along with this, your sheets are also renamed with the salesman name. Can you see that? All these things on a click of button. So this is called our life savior option of our pivot table. Trust me, people, I have seen people at the year end literally sitting and doing the copy paste work. So if you know the tool better, this option is going to help you in saving a lot of time. Product wise report, customer wise report, vendor wise report, or jurisdiction or state wise, country wise, what exactly you want, you can bring it on. Please give it a try. and confirm it's working.
प्रभास, a quick revision please. आपने pivot में जाके क्या click किया?
पहला ऑप्शन क्या दिख रहा है आपको? ऑप्शंस आपने चेक किया? ऑप्शंस?
Just a second.
Yeah. Have you kept your cursor in the filter button?
Should I go to generate get pivot?
Yeah. No, not generate it. Show report filter pages, not the third option. Second option you should go. Show report filter pages.
Yes, got it. It's done.
Yeah. So I believe everybody is getting the same flavor of exporting the pivot table data into multiple reports on a click of button. Any doubt, any queries, any questions?
Yeah, Prabhas,
Yeah.
One question is not related to this pivot,
No
but
problem.
For example, in data, if we have a zone-wise data, and like the same way, we need to split that data in different zones. So can we do that like this pivot?
Yeah. You only thing is the zone you have to bring it to the filter.
No. See, means हमको वो pivot में convert नहीं करना है. Data है मेरे पास.
Okay.
Zone-wise. I need to main data को segregate करना है. For example, north, west, south, east, south में.
Okay.
So can we do that also in same way?
No, I mean you mean to say that without converting into pivot, you want to do as it is.
Absolutely.
No, that is not possible. As it is, you cannot do in that way because there is no such kind of options zone-wise you can segregate. You have to write a macro program for this, or you have to write a query, Power Query we call it as. In the query program, you can do it.
Okay.
But right now, if you want to do, you can convert into pivot, and you can do that because pivot has an option.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't able to do this. Can you please explain it again?
Sure, no problem. You can share your screen. I can guide you.
Yes, just take a second. Can you see my screen?
Yep, I can. No problem. Yes, so you have kept it the cursor. Yes.
Then pivot analyze.
Very good.
Pivot table.
Right.
Then I got that option.
No, that navigation button. Yes, navigation button towards your right. Small button is there.
Yes.
Yeah. Second option.
Okay.
And okay.
Yes, got it.
Right. All right, so we got a clarity that whenever there's a need, how to export our pivot table data into multiple reports on a click of button. So that's the story of our pivot table number 7. We are clear with that. Now, right click on pivot 7 sheet name, move or copy, and create a copy. Checkbox you can activate and click OK. So one more pivot turns up. You can rename the same as pivot table number 8. And salesperson work is over. Salesperson work is over. We can deactivate that. ठीक है? तो चलिए कुछ और डिस्कस करते हैं. So here, the moment we have done with this, now please stay focused for 1 minute on my screen what I'm saying. Understand that, the requirement, and we are going to discuss on that also. Okay. Suppose say I have got last 3 years data. Okay, this is what we discussed already कि हमने 3 साल का डेटा डाउनलोड किया, right? Well, people, you are comfortable, right? Everyone is comfortable with Hindi because I keep telling that sometimes in between. Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay, ठीक है. किसी को दिक्कत है तो पूछ लेना क्योंकि ये आ जाता है ऑटोमेटिक कभी कभी. तो चलिए, सो जैसे कि हमने डिस्कस किया था कि डेटा जब हमने बनाया पिछले 3 साल का डेटा था, राइट? कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं आपको, बस देखो और समझो. मान लो मेरे बॉस ने मुझे पूछा कि प्रभास मुझे 2016 का सिर्फ इंडिगो दिखाओ. तो हम क्या करते हैं? वी गो टू ईयर फिल्टर. फर्स्ट वी गो फॉर 2016. ये हो गया ईयर का काम. फिर आते हैं प्रोडक्ट डिस्क्रिप्शन. फिर यहाँ पे जाते हैं इंडिगो. ये हम ऐसे करते हैं, राइट? और हमारे बॉस भी क्या करते हैं? हाँ, इसको देखो सिलेक्ट करके, और इसका वैल्यू कितना है? इसका वैल्यू है इतना, सपोज 10,29,488. इस तरह से हम प्रेजेंट करते हैं डेटा को, राइट? और ये बार बार करते रहते भी हैं. बॉस भी चाहते तो कभी कभी देखते हैं इसे, बार बार फिल्टर के ऊपर चेक करके प्रेजेंट करके देखते हैं. एंड दिस इज रियली a quite time taking job. Okay, but people prefer to do, I mean, they have addicted in this way, they have trained themselves in this way, they don't mind doing this. ठीक है, चलो ये हमको पता है. इसके ऊपर बेहतर तरीके से कैसे काम किया जाए, इंस्टेड ऑफ स्पेंडिंग दिस मच ऑफ टाइम टू नेविगेट थ्रू आवर डेटा, इसके ऊपर बेहतर तरीके से कैसे काम किया जाए, जरा देखो. हमारे पास पिवट टेबल है, 2016 का डेटा भी है, और कौन से प्रोडक्ट बॉस देखना चाहते हैं? इंडिगो. अगर आप देखोगे वही डेटा यहाँ पे भी है. ठीक है, मैं बस अभी क्या करता हूँ, सिंपल वो सेल में जाके रखूंगा कर्सर, सिलेक्ट करूंगा, डबल क्लिक ऑन दैट. तो इमीडिएटली जो डेटा मेरे बॉस देखना चाहते थे, एक नया शीट उसने बनाया और उसी डेटा को दिखाया, 2016 इंडिगो. With immediate effect, it is populating. So now you tell me, this option is easy, or whatever the practice we had developed, going to that option, navigating multiple filters, and presenting the data in this format. This is easy. Which one? Second one, obviously. चलो थोड़ा आप डबल क्लिक करो 2016 इंडिगो एंड कंफर्म कि आपको भी एक अलग सा शीट में डेटा पूरा वही कॉम्बिनेशन का मिलता है. Well, so Narendra and Shruti, they have confirmed. I believe you are getting the same, everybody. Santan, Tanuj. चलो ठीक है, बहुत बढ़िया.
Yes, Prabhas.
ओके, सो व्हाट इज दैट टेक अवे? आपने ये पूरा एक्सरसाइज में से क्या समझा, मुझे ये जानना है. जो भी आपने समझा हो. विल स्टार्ट विथ आवर फ्रेंड नरेंद्र. नरेंद्र, कुड यू प्लीज टेक द लीड?
बेसिकली पीओट में जहाँ पे आप डबल क्लिक करते हो, दैट रो एंड कॉलम का स्पेसिफिक वही डेटा वो पिक करता है, प्रेजेंट करता है.
ओके, ठीक है. सयंतन?
इससे ये समझ में आता है दो चीजें. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, जो मेरा जो डेटा है, डेटा को समरी शीट में जाकर अननेसेसरी फिल्टर करने का जरूरत नहीं है. वो डायरेक्टली मैं जस्ट एक डबल क्लिक के थ्रू दिखा सकता हूँ. फर्स्ट थिंग. सेकेंड थिंग है, अगर बैकएंड में मेरे को कुछ भी डेटा चेक करना है, लाइक कि मेरा इंडिगो का डेटा ठीक है कि नहीं, तो भी मैं बैकएंड में जस्ट एक डबल क्लिक के थ्रू मैं अपना डेटा को भी क्रॉस
राइट. ओके, ठीक है. राइट. सो ये एक चीज पता चला, सायंतन एंड नरेंद्र उन्होंने जो भी कहा बहुत बढ़िया चीज है. सो तनुज, होप यू हैव गॉट दैट अंडरस्टैंडिंग आल्सो फ्रॉम देयर स्टेटमेंट्स.
Yes, yes, Prabhas.
राइट. तो यहाँ पे दोस्तों और एक चीज मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगा जिसके ऊपर आपने ध्यान नहीं दिया. ठीक है, कैसा वो चीज है? मैं आपको एक सवाल कर रहा हूँ, थोड़ा ध्यान से सुनो. ये जो डेटा यहाँ पे बन के आया 2016 इंडिगो, ये कहाँ से बना? पिवोट 8 से बना, या ये सोर्स डेटा से बन के आया? सोच के बताओ, नो प्रॉब्लम, टेक योर टाइम, 1 मिनट टाइम यू हैव। मैं फिर से रिपीट करता हूं सवाल। ये जो 2016 इंडिगो वाला शीट डेटा जनरेट किया, ये कहाँ से बनाया? ये पिवोट 8 से बनाया या समरी टेबल से बनाया?
समरी।
गुड। सयंतन, आपको क्या लग रहा है?
पिवट 8 से बनाया, लेकिन जो डेटा डिराइव हुआ वो समरी टेबल से डिराइव।
ओके, चलिए, बहुत बढ़िया। तो वही चीज मैं आपको समझाना चाहता था कि ये जो डेटा बनाया पिवोट 8 से ही बना है, ठीक है। और ये एक्सरसाइज से हमको क्या सीख मिला कि कभी भी अगर आप अपना पिवोट टेबल बनाते हो तो आपको अपना सोर्स डेटा भेजने की जरूरत नहीं है। ये समरी टेबल किसी को भेजने की जरूरत नहीं है। देखो, मैं समरी टेबल को डिलीट ही कर लेता हूँ, इज इट गोइंग टू गिव एनी इम्पैक्ट ऑफ एनी ऑफ माई पिवोट टेबल? नो। क्योंकि जब हम पिवोट बनाते हैं, पिवोट के बैकएंड में अपना सोर्स डेटा रहता है। तो इसलिए जब भी हम कोई भी चीज चेंज करते हैं, रो से कॉलम, कॉलम से रो, कॉलम से फिल्टर, विथ लाइटनिंग स्पीड ये चेंज होता है, काम करता है। क्यों करता है? क्योंकि डेटा जो चेंज होता है बैकएंड में चेंज हो रहा है। ये समरी टेबल के ऊपर डिपेंड नहीं कर रहा है, ये एक ही बार डिपेंड करता है, डेटा जब बनता है पिवोट टेबल में, बस। तो ये हमको सीख मिला कि अपना सोर्स डेटा भेजने की जरूरत नहीं है, और अपना फाइल का और मेल का अटैचमेंट बढ़ाने की जरूरत नहीं है। बस पिवोट टेबल भेज दो। और मान लो मैंने अपने बॉस को ये पिवोट टेबल भेजा, बॉस ने देखा और कहा कि प्रभास ये डेटा कहाँ से बनाया, मुझे वो डेटा देखना है, ये पिवोट कहाँ से बनाया। तो ठीक है, मैं अपने बॉस को बोलूंगा कि सर एक काम करो, ग्रैंड टोटल में जाओ, डबल क्लिक कर दो, तो सिंपल वही डेटा फिर से आ गया। देखा, मैंने डिलीट कर दिया था, लेकिन फिर से मेरे पास डेटा बन के आ गया। कैसे आया? क्योंकि पिवोट के बैकएंड में डेटा स्टोर होता है। ठीक है, होप इट इज क्लियर।
अच्छा, एक चीज मेरे को पूछना था यहाँ पे।
हाँ, पूछिए।
ये जो डिस्काउंट कलम हम लोगों ने बनाया था, डिस्काउंट कलम तो हम लोगों ने मतलब पिवट टेबल में बनाया था, सोर्स में नहीं बनाया था। हाँ, लाइक इंसेंटिव हम लोगों ने सोर्स में बनाया, लेकिन डिस्काउंट हम लोगों ने यहाँ पे बनाया, पिवट टेबल।
राइट।
तो जो बैकएंड से जो जैसे अगर हम लोग समरी में डबल क्लिक करते हैं तो ये जो डेटा डिराइव हुआ इसमें तो डिस्काउंट नहीं दिखाएगा, आई थिंक।
बिल्कुल नहीं दिखाएगा। डिस्काउंट कैसे दिखाएगा? कहाँ पे दिखा रहा है? देखो, इंसेंटिव तक ही दिखा रहा है।
यस, मैं वही पूछ रहा हूँ।
राइट। तो डिस्काउंट इज ऑलवेज ए वर्चुअल फील्ड। ये जाके बैकएंड में डेटा कभी बनाया ही नहीं है। इट्स ए वर्चुअल फील्ड, इट्स ए कैलकुलेटेड फील्ड। चलिए, तो पिवट टेबल नंबर 8 से हमको ये सीख मिला कि कभी भी अपना डेटा भेजना हो, पिवट टेबल ही भेजो। अपना सोर्स डेटा उसके ऊपर मत भेजो, ताकि आपका फाइल का साइज ना बढ़े और अटैचमेंट का साइज भी ना बढ़े। So right click on pivot 8 sheet name, move or copy, create a copy, checkbox, and click OK. So one more pivot turns up, you can rename the same as pivot 9. Now, let us go for one thing over here. Sometimes what it happens, friends, क्या होता है ना, हमको डेट रिलेटेड फील्ड्स के ऊपर काम करना पड़ता है। जैसे कि वर्क ऑर्डर डेट, परचेज ऑर्डर डेट, इनवॉइस डेट, डेट ऑफ जॉइनिंग ऑफ द एम्प्लॉय, अगर आप एचआर में काम करते हैं तो इस तरह से डेट रिलेटेड फील्ड में बहुत बार काम करना पड़ता है। ठीक है, तो डेट रिलेटेड फील्ड को पिवोट में कैसे एक अच्छे रिपोर्ट तरह से दिखाया जा सकता है, वो हम अभी डिस्कस करेंगे। तो उसके लिए जो अनवांटेड फील्ड है उसको निकाल दो, जैसे कि प्रोडक्ट डिस्क्रिप्शन, अपना ईयर, वो सब निकाल दो। सेल्स यूएसडी के ऊपर वाला फील्ड जो ऑर्डर डेट है उसको लेके रो में डाल दो, और अपना डेटा रेडी हो गया, देख सकते हैं। तो मैंने जब यहाँ पे लिया, आप देख सकते हो आपके स्क्रीन में जो लोग 2007 में हैं उनका थोड़ा पैटर्न अलग है, जो लोग 2010 में हैं उनका अलग है, 2013 तक अलग है। सो 2007, 10, 2013 जिनका है वो एक पैटर्न है, और 2016, 2019, 365 या 2021 उनका पैटर्न एक अलग है। तो बेसिकली यहाँ पे ये पिवोट ऑटोमेटिकली ये स्ट्रक्चर बना के देता है, ठीक है। सो हाउ टू ब्रिंग इट ए यूनिफॉर्म पैटर्न, लेट्स गो एंड डिस्कस। सो दोज हु आर वर्किंग from 2016 or to 2021 versions, just do one thing. Keep your cursor on any of the year and just go for right click upon the same. And there's an option called ungroup. 2007-10 में करने की जरूरत नहीं, इवन 13 में भी करने की जरूरत नहीं है, ठीक है। तो अभी देखो सबका एक जैसा हो गया होगा। तनुज, श्रुति, you must have the same pattern, correct?
Yes.
Right.
I think I did something wrong.
What is that exactly? Could you please share your screen? अपने क्या क्या कर दिया यहाँ पे। सेल्स यूएसटी तक ठीक है। ऑर्डर डेट, सेल्स यूएसटी, ईयर, मंथ, क्वार्टर, ठीक है। ओके, सब कुछ निकाल दो अपने कॉल रो एरिया से, निकाल दो सब कुछ। राइट, क्वार्टर से निकाल दो। सेल्स यूएसटी लिया, ठीक है। ऑर्डर डेट, नहीं 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 नहीं, सिर्फ ऑर्डर डेट को लेना है रो एरिया में। यस, यू गॉट द स्ट्रक्चर नाउ, ठीक है। चलिए, so now everyone is having the similar structure. We have got our date wise records.
एक और बार मैं एक बार मेरा स्क्रीन शेयर करूं?
हाँ प्लीज कर लीजिए, नो प्रॉब्लम।
हाँ, यहाँ तक मेरा आया है। अभी इसके बाद विजिबल है ना?
हाँ हाँ, देख पा रहा हूँ। राइट क्लिक करिए, राइट क्लिक करिए, कोई भी एक ईयर के ऊपर राइट क्लिक करिए, यहाँ पे अनग्रुप मिलेगा। राइट, हो गया। चलिए, सो आई एम टेकिंग द कंट्रोल बैक ऑन द स्क्रीन एंड प्लीज स्टे फोकस फॉर 1 मिनट। देखो, हमारे पास डेटा अभी सबके साथ एक ही जैसा है और डेट वाइज रिकॉर्ड्स भी मौजूद है, बट दिस इज रनिंग इन पेजेस एंड आई कैन नॉट प्रेजेंट माई डेटा इन दिस फॉर्मेट। ओके, तो इसके लिए हम क्या करेंगे, पहले देख लो। मैं कोई भी एक डेट के सेल के ऊपर कर्सर रखता हूँ, राइट क्लिक करता हूँ और यहाँ पे एक ऑप्शन मिलता है जिसका नाम है ग्रुप। और जब मैंने ग्रुप को क्लिक किया तो ये मुझे एक डायलॉग बॉक्स दिया, और ये डायलॉग बॉक्स में आप देख सकते हो कि ऑलरेडी मेरा स्टार्टिंग डेट और एंडिंग डेट, मतलब जो पहला इनवॉइस डेट है और आखिरी इनवॉइस डेट है, सब कुछ दिखा रहा है। और उसके नीचे कैटेगरी वाइज सब दिखा रहा है। तो मंथ वाला कैटेगरी ऑलरेडी ब्लू कलर में हाईलाइट होके सिलेक्ट होके, लेट इट बी। उसके साथ मान लो मुझे ईयर वाला डेटा भी दिखाना है, तो मैंने ईयर्स को भी चूज किया और करके इसको ओके किया। और जब मैंने ओके किया, आप देख सकते हैं एक हायरार्की बन के आया, ईयर वाइज, मंथ वाइज रिकॉर्ड्स, ईयर वाइज, मंथ वाइज रिकॉर्ड्स। मान लो मैंने ये दिखाया, बॉस ने देखा और कहा कि प्रभास मजा नहीं आ रहा है, ये रिपोर्ट मंथ डिटेल्स खाली मंथ के साथ साथ अगर डेट वाइज रिकॉर्ड्स भी आ जाता बहुत बढ़िया लगता। तो बेसिकली बॉस वांट्स वन मोर हायरार्की एक कॉलम सी में, जिसमें डेट वाइज रिकॉर्ड्स भी आना चाहिए। सपोज जैन मंथ में 10 इनवॉइस बनाया, तो वो 10 डेट्स का इनवॉइस भी चाहिए उनको, ठीक है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं। देखो, कोई भी एक ईयर के ऊपर मैंने क्लिक किया, राइट क्लिक, सेम ग्रुप में गया, और यहाँ पे वो ग्रुप में अगर आप देखोगे एक डेज वाला फील्ड ऑप्शन सिलेक्शन पे नहीं है। तो days, months and years, everything I have selected together, and now going to click OK with immediate effect। आप देख सकते हो और एक हायरार्की बन के आ गया। क्या आया? Year wise, month wise, date wise records। So anything people want, they can look at it। So this is how you can give a hierarchy of your report structure, and that too for the dates। Please check it out। So any questions? Hope it is clear. Pivot table number 8. How to deal with our date related fields if you have any. Chalo. Right click on pivot 8 sheet name, move or copy. Create a copy checkbox you can activate and click OK. So one more pivot turns up, you can rename the same as pivot table number 10. तो जब भी आप डेट रिलेटेड फील्ड बनाते हो दोस्तों, एक चीज हमेशा याद रखो, हमारे पिवट टेबल के अंदर कुछ अनवांटेड फील्ड्स भी बनेंगे. सो दिस इज कॉल्ड योर मंथ्स एंड ईयर्स. ठीक है. तो ये चीज अभी जो बन रहा है दैट इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम आवर रेगुलर ईयर एंड मंथ और द ओरिजिनल फील्ड ईयर और मंथ. तो कभी भी फील्ड लेना हो तो ये फील्ड को आप मत लेना. ये जो बनाया हुआ है इसको आप कभी भी मत यूज करना. हमेशा यही फील्ड को यूज करो बिकॉज दीज आर योर रियल टाइम फील्ड्स. हाउ टू डिफरेंशिएट? हियर इट इज इन सिंगुलर, हियर इट इज इन प्लूरल. यू कैन सी हियर इट इज ईयर, हियर इट इज ईयर्स, here it is month, here it is months. And it is also showing, if you're in Office 365, it will showing in the brackets that it is generated from the order date column. So this is what, because of the difference in versions. It was earlier not there. Recently only it has updated. Maximum 1 week back in Office 365, it has got updated. Okay. So how to differentiate the columns we have understood. Now, unwanted data, let us remove like our order date, months, years, days, and all those things. Then bring our product description, okay, to the rows and our year to the columns. So now we'll see how to make our pivot table more informative. So to make it more informative, if you remember, our friend Narendra told something that this data we have got year-wise only the revenues, like in billions, millions, lakhs, and crores. है कि नहीं? तो नरेंद्र ने एक चीज कहा था उन्होंने. Can somebody recall that? उन्होंने क्या कहा था? We have already discussed in our day one itself all those things. Anyway, I'm just giving a quick reminder. अगर आप
year to year.
राइट, अगर आपको याद हो यहाँ पे जब डे वन पे कुछ चीजें हमने डिस्कस किया था, हमारे पास डेटा होता है, but this data maybe my immediate boss would be happy watching the same, but we can present it when you are presenting the same to the management in terms of percentage, right? So this is how we have understood how to make our data informative. So this is what we are going to do now over here, that whatever the data is there year wise, we need to present it in terms of percentage. So how to make it year wise percentage value? So if that is the case, then in this grand total column doesn't play any role. Which one? The column, this entire row wise, whatever the grand total is there, this grand total doesn't play any role. So we need to deactivate that. But how? We cannot delete just grand total just like that because this is a pivot table field. Okay. So how to remove only this grand total? See, there are two grand totals. This is called row wise grand total. This is called column wise grand total. Okay. So we have to only deactivate row wise grand total. So how to do it? Keep the cursor anywhere in pivot, going to design. Here there is an option from left side, second option, grand totals, and which one you want to make it off. So here it is showing off for rows and columns, on for rows and columns. Then again showing on for rows only, on for columns only. So which one we have to deactivate? We have discussed the row one. So we have to make it on only for columns. So on for columns only. So when I go for on for columns, automatically my row wise grand total is deactivated. Just check it out. Is it working? Now, once we have made it, please stay focused for 1 minute on my screen, what I'm doing. Just have a look, understand. Then next 1 minute you can try, don't worry. See, to define such kind of this data in terms of percentage, ideally, is people able to hear me? Can somebody check that? Confirm?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There was a
Okay.
slight glitch in the internet, so automatically gets disconnected. But anyway, we have fixed it out. Well, as we were discussing over here, that this data I need to present it in terms of percentage. पहले देखो, मेरे पास डेटा है. आइडियली लोग क्या करते हैं, एक नया कॉलम बनाते हैं और उसमें एक फॉर्मूला डालते हैं, जैसे कि इक्वल टू यहाँ पे ले लिया इस तरह से. और नहीं तो ये इतना बड़ा बड़ा सब दिखाता है, तो वो क्या करते हैं, मैनुअली सेल नंबर टाइप करते हैं, जैसे कि B5. सो B5 को डिवाइड करते हैं किसके साथ, ग्रैंड टोटल. कौन से सेल में है, B16 में. B16 को लॉक करते हैं. तो जैसे कि हमने किया था, बस उसी तरह से लोग करते हैं. सो ये कभी भी पिवोट टेबल का हिस्सा नहीं बन सकता. ये जो कॉलम बनेगा कभी भी पिवोट टेबल का हिस्सा नहीं बन पाएगा. ठीक है, तो ये सब हमको अवॉइड करनी है. तो फिर पिवोट में कैसे बनाएंगे, देखो एक बढ़िया सा ऑप्शन. हमारे वैल्यू एरिया में एक सेल्स यूएसडी फील्ड ऑलरेडी लगा हुआ है, राइट. यस. तो मैंने फिर से सेल्स यूएसडी को लेके वैल्यू में डाला. ठीक है, और लेने के बाद फिर यहाँ पे जो फील्ड आपका बना है, ठीक है, जो दूसरा फील्ड यहाँ पे आया, उसके कॉलम हेडर के ऊपर मैंने कर्सर रखा और वहां पे मैंने राइट क्लिक किया. राइट क्लिक करके यहाँ पे एक ऑप्शन आता है शो वैल्यूज एज. और जब मैं इसके अंदर नेविगेट करता हूँ, वहां पे एक ऑप्शन मिलता है परसेंटेज ऑफ ग्रैंड टोटल. बस इसको मुझे सिलेक्ट करना है. और देखो जब मैंने सिलेक्ट किया, क्या मेरा डेटा ऑटोमेटिकली परसेंट में आ गया. लेकिन ये क्या दिखा रहा है, 32%. कैसे हो सकता है, पूरा डेटा तो 110 lakhs का है, तो ये 100% होना चाहिए. तो ये 32% कहाँ से आया, 32% पूरे 3 साल का डेटा का टोटल दिखा रहा है. कि अगर 3 साल का रेवेन्यू को मैं 100% मान के चलूं, 2014 में 32% मिला है. तो बेसिकली हमको क्या करना है, राइट क्लिक करके कॉलम हेडर पे शो वैल्यूज एज, यहाँ पे परसेंटेज ऑफ ग्रैंड टोटल की बदले परसेंटेज ऑफ कॉलम टोटल लेना है. तो जब मैं कॉलम टोटल चूज करूंगा, परसेंटेज ऑफ कॉलम टोटल, सी द ब्यूटी, नाउ इज इट बिकमिंग 100%. यस. तो ये है हमारा डेटा प्रेजेंटेशन इन टर्म्स ऑफ परसेंटेज. सो अभी जाके हम इसको रीनेम भी कर सकते हैं, जैसे कि रेवेन्यू परसेंटेज, कुछ अगर टाइप करना है ऐसा आप दे सकते हो. तो ये इस तरह से पूरे 3 साल का डेटा रेवेन्यू के साथ साथ रेवेन्यू परसेंटेज भी आ गया. प्लीज कंफर्म करें, चेक करें, इज इट वर्किंग. पहले सेल्स यूएसडी को लेके वैल्यू में डालो, फिर उस फील्ड के ऊपर राइट क्लिक करो जो नया बना है, शो वैल्यूज एज परसेंटेज ऑफ कॉलम टोटल. सो मैंने आपको डिफरेंस बताया, ग्रैंड टोटल और कॉलम टोटल में डिफरेंस क्या है. तो आपको लेना है कॉलम टोटल, क्योंकि हमारे पास मल्टीपल ईयर्स हैं. अगर एक ही ईयर का डेटा होता तो आप डायरेक्टली जा सकते थे परसेंटेज ऑफ ग्रैंड टोटल. दैट इज द डिफरेंस, राइट. तो इस तरह से पिवोट में ही डेटा को दिखाओ, लोगों को पसंद भी आएगा. और ये आपको बार बार डेटा को चेंज करने की जरूरत नहीं, लोगों को यहाँ पे दिखाने की जरूरत नहीं कि हाँ ये हाइड करना है, ये अनहाइड करना है. सो ये सब बहुत चलता रहता है, तो यू कैन अवॉइड ऑल दिस थिंग्स. तो चलो ये एक चीज हो गया. अभी और एक चीज मैं आपको यहाँ पे दिखाना चाहूंगा. सपोज मान लो मेरे बॉस ने मुझे पूछा कि प्रभास ये तो ठीक है कि हाँ 2014 में इतना रेवेन्यू कमाया था और परसेंटेज वाइज वैल्यू भी मिल गया, लेकिन मुझे ये जानना है कि इंडिका के कितने इनवॉइस थे, क्योंकि इंडिका का तो एक ही इनवॉइस नहीं है. मे बी इंडिका का 10 इनवॉइस हो सकता है, 20 इनवॉइस हो सकते हैं. तो मुझे ये जानना है कि हाउ मेनी नंबर ऑफ इनवॉइसेस ऑफ इंडिका इन 2014 कंसोलिडेटिंग द वैल्यू ऑफ $6,18,372। ये बॉस को जानना है। नंबर ऑफ इनवॉइसेस, तो नंबर ऑफ इनवॉइसेस तो मेरे पास नहीं है। चलो ठीक है, एक काम करते हैं, फिर से सेल्स यूएसडी को लेके मैं यहाँ पे डालता हूँ वैल्यू में, डाल दिया। तो जो नया फील्ड आया अभी, यहाँ पे मैं उसके ऊपर राइट क्लिक करूंगा और फिर समराइज वैल्यूज बाय डिफॉल्ट क्या दिखा रहा है, सम, है कि नहीं? तो मुझे सम नहीं करना है, मुझे काउंट करनी है, टोटल लाइन आइटम कितने हैं काउंट करनी है, उसका वैल्यू मुझे सम नहीं करना है। तो मैंने यहाँ पे चेंज कर दिया काउंट, तो ऑटोमेटिकली आप देखो ये मुझे दिखा दिया कितने इनवॉइस हैं। इंडिका के 12, बोल्ट के 18, जेनेक्स नानो के 15, टियागो के 21। लेकिन रेवेन्यू डेटा यहाँ पे है, परसेंटेज यहाँ पे है, नंबर ऑफ इनवॉइसेस यहाँ पे, ये तो कोई ठीक से नहीं बैठ रहा है मेल। तो आइडियली एक पैटर्न होना चाहिए। पैटर्न कैसा कहता है कि जो काउंट वाला चीज है, नंबर्स है, वैल्यू, उसको पहले रखो, और जो वैल्यू वाला चीज उसके बाद में, और परसेंटेज वैल्यू के बगल में रहना चाहिए। तो बेसिकली हमको इंटरचेंज करना है फील्ड को, तो मैंने कर दिया। तो काउंट आ गया पहले, तो इसको मैं नाम दे दूंगा इनवॉइस काउंट। ठीक है, तो इस तरह से आप देख सकते हैं हमारा डेटा कितना इजीली पॉपुलेट हो गया यहाँ पे, कोई दिक्कत नहीं। So this is how you can keep creating the fields as well as fields from this, and you can make your pivot table more informative. कोई सवाल है तो पूछ लो।
रेवेन्यू परसेंटेज जो लिखा आपने, वो नाम कहाँ से चेंज किया जाता था, वो एक बार आप दिखाइए।
हाँ, एक है यहाँ पे, आप इस तरह से डबल, यहाँ पे जो जो फील्ड है जो बनाया आपने, देखो मैं यहाँ पे हाईलाइट कर रहा हूँ, इसके ऊपर आप राइट क्लिक करके, नहीं तो लेफ्ट क्लिक करके, यहाँ पे एक ऑप्शन होता है वैल्यू फील्ड सेटिंग्स। ठीक है, इसमें जाएंगे तो वो फील्ड का नाम यहाँ पे कस्टम नेम बोल के दिखाएगा, यहाँ पे आप चेंज कर सकते हो, ये एक तरीका। नहीं तो डायरेक्ट आप जाके वो जो फील्ड बना है उस फील्ड के हेडर के ऊपर कर्सर रखो और इमीडिएटली आप मैनुअली टाइप भी कर सकते हो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं।
एक में टाइप करने से 3-4 में ही आ जाएगा ना?
हाँ, ऑटोमेटिकली आ जाएगा, क्योंकि सब एक ही फील्ड का हिस्सा है, सब कुछ
ठीक
रेवेन्यू
है।
परसेंटेज का ही हिस्सा है, तो सब जगह पे वो ऑटोमेटिक चेंज हो जाएगा।
ओके,
राइट, तो परसेंटेज वैल्यू कैसे बनाना है, काउंट कैसे बनानी है, फील्ड सेटिंग्स को कैसे चेंज करना है, ग्रैंड टोटल को कैसे डीएक्टिवेट करना है, ये सब ऑप्शंस हमने पिवोट टेबल में सीखा। कोई सवाल है तो किसी का पूछ लीजिए आगे बढ़ने से पहले। All right, so do one thing please, right click on pivot 10 sheet name, move or copy, create a copy checkbox you can activate, and click OK. Okay, so one more pivot turns up, you can rename the same as pivot 11, and the fields whatever we have created, like our invoice count, revenue percentage, this is unwanted, you can deactivate. Okay, and grand total, if you want, again you can bring it back. I told you how to bring it back. Keep your cursor in pivot, और कहाँ पे जाना है, ग्रैंड टोटल जो लेफ्ट साइड से सेकंड ऑप्शन, ऑन फॉर रोस एंड कॉलम्स, बोथ सिलेक्ट कर लो, आ जाएगा। सो काइंडली सेव ऑल योर वर्कबुक्स। ठीक है, तो इसके साथ हम एक ब्रेक पे जाएंगे। ठीक है, so have a brisk and come back soon. So 15 minutes time will be taking, so in my system 4:28, I consider 4:30, so dot 4:45 p.m. we are going to resume our session. So request you please be back by that time so that we can start exactly on 4:45. So I believe all are back. Could you please respond in the chat box? Why for yes? All right. So thank you so much for your response. So now we are going to discuss one more beautiful concept, okay, of our pivot table is how to create or design a dashboard in pivot table. So you would have heard this terminology quite often in the corporate world or while working in the office, or say, take an example. If you take many more files and present it to your next level people, to your customer, to your vendor, no one is interested in watching your many more files because people don't like navigating many more files or going through many more documents. Just one page of report they want. So that is called nothing but your dashboard. So when you talk, I mean, when you speak about a dashboard, it consists of three elements. Naming, there should be a drop down, which will be giving a privilege to the user to select the variables from the drop down list. And once the proper drop down is selected, then immediately there should be a tabular data. And based on the tabular data, there should be a graphical presentation. And when you have all these three information in place in one single interface, that becomes a dashboard. So I'll take you through some dashboards which will be giving more clarity on that so that you'll be also clear what is our aim, what is our objective, what we are going to achieve. So no need to do anything, just next 2 minutes, please watch my screen. Okay. So here, I'm going to take you through few dashboards. So first I'll start working with one human resource dashboard. Okay. So HR dashboard. Yeah. See, this is one of the sophisticated dashboard we have created for one of the client, and you notice what is that elements we have. See, all these department names you can see in one box available. And the client has got multi-city presence. All the city names are also available. Okay. Last 9 years data we have taken to analyze and to play around that year details also there. And these are the list of employee names that is also available over here. And depending upon that, so some tabular data and different graphical presentations, column graph, line graph, pie graph, all these things are there. So this entire one page of report, it is going to give you the entire information. See how it works, how it operates. Let me take you through. Kindly just have a look. Okay. Suppose any point of time you ask me, Prabhas, I would like to know what is the headcount trend of the entire organizations in human resource department. Okay. So I'll go to human resource. When I select human resource, this chart is going to change immediately. See the beauty? Changing? Yes. Now, if I want to know in human resource department in Los Angeles city, what is the headcount trend? Then this is going to change when I go and choose human resource and Los Angeles. Is it changing? Yes. Now, if I want to know in human resource department, Los Angeles city in 2006 year, what was the breakup of salary? This breakup I'm going to achieve, and based on that, this chart is going to change and this chart is also going to change. See the beauty? Human resource, Los Angeles, 2006. Is it changing? Yes, immediately. So everything is happening on one interface on a click of button. So this is called one of the sophisticated dashboard. And to create this, to prepare this, it needs time. It's not overnight something you put the formula and get the answer. No, it needs time. But it's just
just a second, sorry to interrupt. Which sheet you are referring? This one which you are showing on screen, or is it a random one?
No, I am not referring to anyone. This is what I am going to help you in creating, how to create a dashboard. So I am taking one more sheet from my own data set. It's not shared with you. It is not with you. You just watch my screen. So here, the moment we go for this kind of dashboards to prepare, it needs time. And for this, you should have ample data source, like 9 years data. You should have 9 years data, then only you can play around. And based on that, 90% calculations are pivot table calculations only. Yes. And to prepare the list and update time and again, whenever there is a need, you need to have some ready-made list like year wise. Suppose tomorrow, one more year business you complete, you should add and you should eliminate the earlier one. Similarly, one more locale, suppose business is acquired in new company we have taken over. So that company name also we need to add it over here. Suppose any other new department has recently introduced and there also some manpower deployed, that name also should appear over here. So like that, you have to only keep on updating the backend data. Any new employee joins, you can add it. Any existing employees relieves to the duty or he is exiting the company, then you have to delete that. And these things will be always there, get updated. Trust me, people pay hefty amount to get it done by some third party. So this is one of the sophisticated dashboard. Okay. Now, one more dashboard I'm going to showcase is about sales dashboard. Okay. So kindly have a look on my screen. So I'm going to take you through one sales dashboard over here. So again, one pager report, you can see everything, multiple charts and graphs, line, column, bar, pie, everything combined together. And below to that, you can see the month details, product details, sales representative names, and the regions where you are working with. So one pager report. Any point of time, suppose I want to know what is the performance of my Eastern zone. So I'll go and click East. This is what the status of Eastern zone. Complete thing is changing immediately. Now I want to know in Eastern Zone, what is the performance of my salesperson, say Jenny Paul. I click on Jenny Paul and this is what the performance of Jenny Paul for the year, I mean whole year in the region, East Coast region. Everything is changing automatically on a click of button. So more or less we are going to create something like this. This is what our objective. So is it going to help you? If you learn, do you believe that you can make a lot of difference at your workplace?
Yes, this is quite amazing.
Right. So we are going to create something like this. Are you ready?
Yes.
Good. Fine then. So certain rules you have to follow. Whenever you go for such kind of reports or dashboards or one page or information you want to prepare, you need to follow certain rules. Rule number one, whatever the objects you are taking inside that report, it should be aligned properly. So you have to be pinpoint accurate with regard to your object alignments. Rule number one. Rule number two, when you are taking the objects, you must have some high definition colorful buttons. So that will be adding more beauty to the report. So most of the time you see any dashboard in internet also, you go to Google and define a keyword, you will be finding the dashboards will be containing some kind of high definition colorful buttons. So all these two elements are very, very essential. So in our data, let's see how to create a dashboard over here. So first of all, do one thing, keep your cursor above to the pivot table and insert a row. How to insert a row? Alt-I-R, one by one. And to repeat the last action, go for hitting F4. To repeat the last action, keep hitting F4 and create some 10 to 15 blank row items above to the pivot data.
Control I?
No, Alt-I-R. One by one, no need to press together and struggle. And once it is done, keep your cursor anywhere in pivot table. Okay. And then in your pivot table, analyze options or any other option sheet is showing or analyze anything, whatever it is showing in your respective versions, you should go, and there we do have an option called insert slicer. So insert slicer, the slicer option we have seen in our day 2 training program, a glimpse of that, but now we are going to discuss in detail. So going to this insert slicer, if you click, it will take you to a dialog box like this. So here, what are you going to do? Let's go and discuss. Slicers are nothing but it works like a filter button, but those are called visual filter buttons. Like you can visually make it available. It will be visible on the screen. That's why people call it as visual filter buttons. But when you are thinking to integrate the same, जब आपको लग रहा है कि मुझे सब मिला के pivot के साथ काम करना है, आपको एक रूल फॉलो करनी है। और वो रूल क्या कहता है कि जो जो फील्ड्स आपने पिवोट में लेके रखा हुआ है, जैसे कि ईयर, प्रोडक्ट डिस्क्रिप्शन, सेल्स यूएसडी, ये जो फील्ड्स आपको यहाँ से फिर से सिलेक्ट नहीं करना है, क्योंकि ऑलरेडी ये पिवोट में है। तो आप फिर से चूज करोगे तो क्या होगा? इट विल बी अमाउंटिंग एज ए डुप्लीकेशन ऑफ फील्ड्स, डजंट मेक एनी सेंस। बट देयर इज नो हार्ड एंड फास्ट रूल। अगर आपको लगता है आपके पास बहुत सारा स्पेस है, लेना चाहते हो ले सकते हो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं। तो चलिए अभी हम क्या करेंगे, ये तीनों फील्ड को छोड़ के बाकी और किसके साथ काम करना है। सपोज मान लो मुझे कस्टमर वाइज एनालिसिस करनी है, तो ये बॉक्स के अंदर कस्टमर को चूज करो। मान लो मुझे सेल्समैन वाइज डेटा देखना है, तो सेल्स पर्सन बॉक्स को, चेक बॉक्स को एक्टिवेट करो। रीजन वाइज डेटा देखना है तो रीजन को एक्टिवेट करो। मंथ वाइज डेटा देखना है तो मंथ को एक्टिवेट करो। मंथ्स जो है उसको एक्टिवेट मत करना, मंथ को एक्टिवेट करना। ठीक है, तो कंफर्म करो। मैं जो बोलता हूं, कस्टमर, सेल्स पर्सन, रीजियन, मंथ, ये चारों बॉक्स के चेक बॉक्सेस के ऊपर सिलेक्शन ऑन होना चाहिए। और जब आपने ओके क्लिक किया तो इमीडिएटली 4 ऐसे बॉक्सेस बन के आए, isn't it? तो यहाँ पे ये जो चारों बॉक्सेस को हम बोलते हैं 4 स्लाइसर। लेकिन अभी अभी काम क्या करना है, ये चारों बॉक्स को लेके ये जो स्पेस हमने बनाया पीवोट के ऊपर, उसमें उसको अलाइन करके अरेंज करके दिखाना है। तो ठीक है, कोई भी स्लाइसर को अगर आपको पकड़ के उसको लेके जाना है तो स्लाइसर के नेम जहाँ पे, जो नाम जहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है वहां पे कर्सर रखो, फिर उसको होल्ड करके ड्रैग करो। कहीं पे आप रख सकते हो, ये आपके ऊपर डिपेंड करता है, आपका मर्जी, कोई ऐसे हार्ड एंड फास्ट रूल नहीं है। सपोज मान लो मैंने मंथ रखा पहले, फिर ले लिया सेल्स को उसके बाजू में अलाइन किया, फिर रीजन को लेके अलाइन कर दिया, और फिर उसके बाद कस्टमर को रखा। ठीक है, तो इस तरह से कैटेगरी में डाल सकते हो, नहीं तो कस्टमर चाहे पहले भी रख सकते हो, ये आपके ऊपर डिपेंड करता है। बट आप अगर पूछोगे प्रभास व्हाट इज योर रिकमेंडेशन, आई वुड ऑलवेज सजेस्ट कि जो स्लाइसर के ऊपर हेवी डेटा है, मतलब हेवी टेक्स्ट है, उसको हमेशा राइट में रखो। जरूरत पड़ने से उसको थोड़ा ऐसे हम एनलार्ज कर सकें ताकि सब कुछ दिखे। तो इसलिए जिसमें ज्यादा टेक्स्ट हो उसको हमेशा राइट साइड में रखो। लेकिन पहले इस तरह का पैटर्न बनाओ एंड कंफर्म करो, स्टेप बाय स्टेप। यहाँ पे कंफर्मेशन जरूरी है। तो पहला कंफर्मेशन, यहाँ तक सबका क्लियर?
2007 में नहीं है ऑप्शन स्लाइसर का।
नहीं, 2007 में नहीं है, बोला ना। आप डार्क एज में क्यों चले गए फिर से?
हाँ,
स्लाइसर सिर्फ 2010 में आया है। तो इसलिए आप अभी स्क्रीन देखो, रिकॉर्डिंग को बाद में फॉलो करना। जब आपके पास आपका अपना जो लैपटॉप में आप काम कर रहे थे, या ऑफिस 365 2013 या 16 जो भी आएगा, उसके ऊपर आपको प्रैक्टिस करनी है। ठीक है,
ओके।
राइट। Fine. So I got confirmation from, okay, Santan done, another done, Shruti, Darshana. Great. तो चलिए अभी हम आगे बढ़ते हैं, थोड़ा देख लेते हैं क्या करना है अभी। स्लाइसर को अरेंज तो कर लिया, लेकिन स्लाइसर का लुक एंड फील इतना अच्छा नहीं दिख रहा है, तो इसलिए पहले हमको थोड़ा लुक एंड फील बेहतर बनाना होगा। लेकिन लुक एंड फील कैसे बेहतर बनाएंगे, एक काम करते हैं। कोई भी एक स्लाइसर को सिलेक्ट कर लो। यहाँ पे आप देखोगे एक एक्सट्रीम राइट में एक स्लाइसर वाला टैब एक्टिवेट होगा, राइट। तो इसमें हमको जाना है। ये नाम थोड़ा अलग हो सकता है, किसी के वहां पे ऑप्शंस हो सकती है, किसी के वहां पे डिजाइन हो सकता है, डिपेंड अपॉन द वर्जन्स। यहाँ पे एक आता है स्लाइसर स्टाइल्स, एक कैटेगरी देखो स्लाइसर स्टाइल्स, ठीक है। तो उसमें मोर बटन में जब मैं क्लिक करता हूँ, इट ओपन्स अप विद टू ब्रॉड कैटेगरीज, लाइट एंड डार्क। तो जैसे कि अभी तक हमने डिस्कस किया, लाइट मीडियम डार्क होने से लाइट और मीडियम लेना है, तो यहाँ पे तो मीडियम नहीं है, तो लेना कौन सा है? लेना है एक्चुअली लाइट। लेकिन मैं यहाँ पे हमेशा रिकमेंड करता हूँ कि डार्क लो, क्योंकि हमको कलरफुल बटन्स चाहिए, क्योंकि हम डैशबोर्ड के ऊपर काम कर रहे हैं, राइट। तो चलिए मैं यहाँ पे एक डार्क कलर ले लिया, फिर से और एक स्लाइसर सेलेक्ट किया और एक डार्क कलर, फिर से और एक डार्क कलर। तो इस तरह से चारों स्लाइसर को चार अलग अलग डार्क कलर में मैंने तब्दील उसको चेंज कर दिया। लुक्स गुड नाउ, एलिगेंट कंपेयर टू द प्रीवियस वर्जन।
स्लाइसर तो I've got प्रभास, बट उसके बाद जो ऑप्शन विच यू आर शोइंग ना, ये नहीं दिख रहा। तो इसमें वर्जन का कोई इशू है क्या?
वर्जन का इशू है। आप अगर 2010 से ऊपर हो, लेकिन 10 में क्या है ना, वो राइट साइड में दिखेगा स्लाइसर टूल्स ऑप्शंस। ये जो ऑप्शन बीच में दिख रहा है मेरे, आपको राइट साइड में दिखेगा, उसमें जाओ।
मुझे ये स्लाइसर ऑप्शन ही नहीं दिखा। मतलब मैंने ये 4 ब्लॉक्स तो बना लिए, यहाँ तक एवरीथिंग वाज फाइन, बट देन अगेन आई एम नॉट गेटिंग द स्लाइसर।
ओके, हैव यू सिलेक्टेड वन ऑफ द स्लाइसर? आपने सिलेक्ट किया एक स्लाइसर
या
को?
हाँ हाँ,
आपका लास्ट मेनू ऑप्शन क्या दिख रहा है रिबन
दिखाओ
में?
स्क्रीन।
ओके, दिखाओ। हम्म। सो आप देखो, आप कौन से ऑप्शन पे हो? आप हो व्यू में, व्यू के बाजू वाला ऑप्शंस लेना है। राइट में देखो, हाँ अभी आया स्लाइसर स्टाइल्स, देखो उसमें मोर बटन में जाओ, डार्क वाला मिलेगा सब, तो एक एक स्लाइसर को सिलेक्ट करो वहां से। So this is what the problem with if you have multiple versions in training. So this is the reason why I make a point, everyone should have 2013 or above. Okay, तो चलिए, सबका यहाँ तक क्लियर? कलरफुल चेंजेस हो गए। अभी यहाँ पे थोड़ा 1 मिनट ध्यान से देखो। भले ही हमने कलरफुल चेंजेस करवा दिए दोस्तों, बट प्रॉब्लम इज हैविंग दिस काइंड ऑफ वर्टिकल स्क्रॉल बार्स। ये जो स्लाइसेस के अंदर ऐसे स्क्रॉल बार्स दिख रहे हैं, जिसके वजह से इसका लुक एंड फील इतना अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है। तो क्या करना चाहिए देख लो। मैंने एक स्लाइसर को सिलेक्ट किया, यहाँ पे वही स्लाइसर टैब के अंदर एक ऑप्शन है, देखो कॉलम्स। क्या है? कॉलम्स। ठीक है, सबका कॉलम्स नंबर एक ही दिखा रहा होगा, तो उसको हम बढ़ा सकते हैं। तो मैंने जब बढ़ाया, क्या हो रहा है देखो, मेरे कस्टमर के साथ ऑटोमेटिक वो चेंज होने लगा। मतलब जितने भी वेरिएबल्स थे मल्टीपल कॉलम के उसमें डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हो रहा है वो। तो 3 हो गया, अगर मैं 4 करना चाहता हूँ तो 4 भी कर सकता हूँ, डिपेंड्स। तो ये आपके ऊपर डिपेंड करता है कि आपके स्लाइसर्स में कितने वेरिएबल्स हैं और इसको कितने कॉलम्स में बांटना है। तो रीजन मैंने ले लिया, इसको 3 बना दिया। ठीक है, इस तरह से सेल्स पर्सन को सिलेक्ट किया, उसको भी 3 बना दिए। फिर मंथ को भी सिलेक्ट किया, उसको भी 3 बना दिया। लेकिन प्रॉब्लम क्या हुआ, मेरे स्लाइसर्स तो सब मल्टीपल कॉलम्स में डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हो गया, लेकिन डेटा जो है उसके अंदर का वो मुझे दिख नहीं रहा है। तो इसलिए ऑप्शन है, उसको एक्सटेंड कर सकते हैं। तो मैंने एक्सटेंड किया, नो प्रॉब्लम, बहुत जगह पड़ा है मेरे पास, तो मैंने ले लिया। इसको भी थोड़ा कर दिया, रीजन को थोड़ा एक्सपेंड कर दिया। यस, तो सब रीजन्स भी अच्छे से मुझे दिख गया है, नो प्रॉब्लम, ये भी हो गया। बाकी मंथ एंड सेल्स पर्सन तो दिख ही रहा है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं। तो चलो यहाँ तक रखते हैं। तो प्लीज कंफर्म करो कि आपने ये सब किया, हर एक स्लाइसेस को मल्टीपल कॉलम्स में डिस्ट्रीब्यूट किया आपने। All right. So can I take that? Everybody is clear? Okay, Narendra has confirmed. Shruti also. Fine, Sanjan too. Then yes. Okay, Rajna also. Very good. Fine. Who else is left out? And then there's- Now, once we have done with this over here, okay, one thing, just please stay focused again for 1 minute. See, I'm going to work with full screen to show the entire information to you properly. See, I have selected all the slicers. Now everything is in under control, no problem. So now I'll keep my cursor in one slicer I selected, Control A. So when I go for Control A, all the slicers are in selection. So first thing is, in this slicer tab, there is an option called Align. So this Align tab, when I go for it over here, I have to go for Align Top. This is the first thing I should do. As I told you, alignment plays a very big role. You have to be pinpoint accurate with regard to the alignment. तो पहले हम अलाइन टॉप करेंगे, ठीक है, हो गया। फिर से अलाइन में जाके डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हॉरिजॉन्टली ये भी करना होगा, क्योंकि स्लाइसर के बीचों में जो स्पेस है वो भी यूनिफॉर्म होना चाहिए, तो इसलिए डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हॉरिजॉन्टली वो भी हमने कर दिया। लेकिन यहाँ पे करने के बाद प्रॉब्लम क्या हो रहा है कि स्लाइसर के नीचे वाले हिस्से के ऊपर बहुत सारा अनवांटेड स्पेस बन गया है, तो उसको निकालना है। कैसे? देखो, यहाँ पे एक नीचे वाला सेक्शन में एक बटन जैसा मिलता है, उसको होल्ड करके ड्रैग करना है और ड्रैग करके उसका थोड़ा हाइट कम कर देना है। लेकिन ये करते वक्त इतना याद रखिए कि आपको फिर से वो जो वर्टिकल स्क्रॉल बार दिखना नहीं चाहिए, वहां तक आपको थोड़ा मैनेज करना होगा। इतना सब करके फाइनल स्टेप बहुत ही अहम है, जो कि करना है आपको। अलाइन के बाजू में एक ग्रुपिंग ऑप्शन मिलता है, उसको ग्रुप करना है, क्योंकि ये ऑप्शन अगर आपने अपनाया नहीं और ग्रुप नहीं किया और उसको एक सिंगल ऑब्जेक्ट में कन्वर्ट नहीं किया, तो कल जाके जब आप स्लाइसर के ऊपर काम करोगे, इट विल स्टार्ट ओवरलैपिंग विथ वन अनदर, इट विल चेंज द पैटर्न, इट विल चेंज द अलाइनमेंट, तो इतना सारा मेहनत सब पानी में जाएगा। तो जिसको सेफ गार्ड करने के लिए फाइनल स्टेप ये बहुत जरूरी है। सो प्लीज कंफर्म यू गॉट ऑल दिस थिंग्स रेडी। Now, once we have done with this, over here you can notice कि आपके पिवट टेबल और स्लाइसर के बीचों में जो एक ब्लैंक स्पेस, जो ब्लैंक रोस बने हुए हैं, उसको आप सिलेक्ट कर सकते हैं और कंट्रोल माइनस उसको डिलीट कर दें। जो भी बीचों का फासला है उसको निकालने के लिए वो सब रोज डिलीट कर दें, ठीक है। तो स्लाइसर्स रेडी हो गया, हमारे पिवट भी आ गया। अभी ये जो पिवट टेबल फील्ड है जो राइट साइड में है, ये इसका और कोई रोल नहीं है, इसको आप बंद कर सकते हैं। कैसे? यहाँ पे एक बटन जैसा है, देखो, इसको क्लिक करने से वो बंद हो जाएगा। चलो, यहाँ तक भी हो गया, ठीक है। तो
Prabhas, I missed your last sentence.
yeah, you have to keep your cursor in pivot on right side window. That box is there, no, that you have to deactivate like this. The moment you have this window, pivot table field list box, you have to close this, you have to shut it down from this button.
Done that.
Now, once we got your pivot ready and slicers properly defined, we need one more element called our graphical presentations, charts and graphs. So keep your cursor in pivot and go to your pivot table, analyze options, whichever the tab you have depending upon the versions. There is a ready-made pivot chart option is there. Can you see? Just click that. When you go and click this, it will take you to your entire chart family. No need to do any changes in the chart type as it is written. Just click OK. And you'll be finding a beautiful chart turns up over here. And this chart, whatever we have got it, some ready-made filter buttons you will be finding embedded inside the chart area. This is what the beauty of pivot chart. You will never find such kind of filter buttons in your regular chart options, but in pivot, you will be always be finding that. Well, so take this chart next to the data, align it and extend your chart from the right side. तो जितना आपने आपके स्लाइसर्स को अलाइन करके रखा है उस तरह से अलाइन कर लो. ठीक है, सब अलाइनमेंट्स वगैरह हो गया. Pivot chart, keeping the cursor in pivot, going to your options and then pivot chart. Yes, Rachna, I am explaining that only. Shruti and Rachna, you can see. Keep your cursor in pivot, going to analyze, pivot table, analyze options, then go to pivot chart. Rachna, what's the status? Did you just get the chart? Now, just 1 minute, watch my screen, observe what I'm doing now. See, once you have the chart in place, select your chart and then you can notice a design button is activated in your ribbon options or the menu options. Lot of chart styles are there. If you're in 2013 and above, you can always take the last style. If you're in 2010, you should take style number 26. Okay, so there is a difference. The reason why I'm being specific with regard to this kind of options because compared to your previous versions, these options will be giving you your chart in a glossy impact, shadow impact, some kind of embossing effect. ये सब आपको मिलेंगे. तो हमने सब जगह पे R&D करके रखा हुआ है and we found this is the best and suitable options जिसमें आपका फाइल का साइज भी नहीं बढ़ता है, कलरफुल प्रेजेंटेशन भी करने की जरूरत नहीं, चार्ट एक सिंपल सा बैकग्राउंड रख के दिखाना है. हो गया पहला काम. Then all this unwanted grid lines जो चार्ट के अंदर जो unwanted grid lines है उसको हटानी है. If you are in 2013 and above, you can see a plus symbol. जब आप चार्ट सिलेक्ट करोगे एक प्लस सिंबल मिलेगा. उस प्लस सिंबल को क्लिक करने से एक आपको ऐसे मेनू ऑप्शंस आएंगे और उसमें आप देखोगे कि ग्रिड लाइन वाला चेकबॉक्स जो है एक्टिवेट दिखा रहा है, उसको डीएक्टिवेट करना है. और 2010 में ये ऑप्शन नहीं मिलेगा तो इसलिए आपको मैनुअली चार्ट के ग्रिड लाइंस को सिलेक्ट करना है और डिलीट बटन प्रेस करना है. दैट्स द डिफरेंस. So kindly confirm you got all the formattings ready. ठीक है. Now, once you have done whatever we have done so far, anybody can do that. Yes. और जो मैं आपको पहले से डे वन से बता के आ रहा हूँ कि हमारा प्रेजेंटेशन बाकी सबसे अलग कैसा हो, वो आप हमेशा कोशिश करो. तो क्या करना है देख लो. पहला काम, जो अनवांटेड चीजें, जैसे कि ये रिबन मेन्यू ऑप्शंस मेरे लिए अनवांटेड है अभी, ठीक है, इसको बंद करना है. कैसे? कंट्रोल F1. सो कंट्रोल F1 इज द कीबोर्ड शॉर्टकट जो कि रिबन बटन को हाइड और अनहाइड करने में मदद करता है. देखो कंट्रोल F1 प्रेस करके, is it hiding and unhiding your ribbon bar or ribbon options, menu options?
बस एक बार रिपीट करो, क्या बोला?
कंट्रोल F1 जो रिबन मेन्यू ऑप्शन आता है ऊपर, इसको हाइड करना है. कंट्रोल F1. If it is not a direct key, you can go with function control F1. Working? पहला काम हो गया नरेंद्र. इज इट वर्किंग फॉर यू? चलो ठीक है. दूसरा काम अभी देख लो. ये जो आप देख रहे हो, ये जो अनवांटेड ग्रिड लाइंस आप देख रहे हो ना, और ये जो ABCD टैब, ये फॉर्मूला बार, ये 1 2 3 रो आइटम्स, ये भी सब नहीं चाहिए हमको. तो क्या करना है, कोई भी एक ब्लैंक सेल में कर्सर रखो, व्यू टैब में जाओ. जब आप व्यू में जाओगे, यहाँ पे 3 ऑप्शंस मिलते हैं व्यू में. देखो, शो कैटेगरी में, व्यू टैब में, ठीक है. ग्रिड लाइंस, फॉर्मूला बार, हेडिंग्स, तीनों चेकबॉक्स को डीएक्टिवेट करो. सो गोइंग टू व्यू, formula bar, headings, grid lines. So now what kind of feeling you are getting? As if a blank page is there and entire template is embedded on that. Do you agree with me? Are you getting this kind of feeling? Right? तो चलिए थोड़ा और इसको ब्यूटीफाई करते हैं, क्योंकि जब रिपोर्ट बनाते हैं, रिपोर्ट का टाइटल भी कुछ होना चाहिए, है कि नहीं? तो देखो, पहले 1 मिनट मेरे स्क्रीन के ऊपर ध्यान से देखो.
एक सेकेंड, ये जो व्यू में जाके फॉर्मूला पार्ट्स को जो अनहाइड किया ना, मतलब अनटिक किया,
हाँ,
तो उसमें मेरा तो खाली एक ही बार मतलब एक्टिव दिखा रहा था, बट मैंने जो उसको भी अनटिक किया तो मेरा खाली मेरे को वो मतलब रो एंड कॉलम्स का जो नंबर है, मतलब ABCD और 1 2 3 4 वो शो हो रहा है.
नहीं, आपको जाना है वहां पे 3 ऑप्शन है, फॉर्मूला, हेडिंग्स, ग्रिड लाइंस, तीनों को डीएक्टिवेट करना
हाँ,
है.
मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ. एक सेकेंड मैं दिखा रहा हूँ.
ओके,
पर
ओके.
ये जो है, ठीक है, व्यू में गया मैंने.
आपका कर्सर कहाँ पे है? कर्सर कहाँ पे है? मैंने क्या कहा? कर्सर ब्लैंक सेल में रखो पहले. हाँ, अभी जाओ व्यू में, तो अभी तीनों को डीएक्टिवेट दिखेगा, तीनों अभी.
हाँ हाँ,
राइट,
ओके ओके,
राइट. ठीक है.
ठीक,
नो
थैंक यू.
प्रॉब्लम, नो प्रॉब्लम, वेलकम. Now, once we have done with this, I believe my screen is visible. Yes. So once you have done with this, अभी 1 मिनट और देख लो. देखो, कोई भी रिपोर्ट हो, रिपोर्ट को समझाने के लिए उसका रिपोर्ट का एक टाइटल होना चाहिए, है कि नहीं? तो अभी इस रिपोर्ट का टाइटल कैसे बनाएंगे थोड़ा देख लो. मैं अभी बस दिखाता हूँ आपको. अपने जो स्लाइसर जहाँ पे खत्म हुआ, उसके बाजू में एक सेल को सिलेक्ट करो, ऐसे जैसे मैंने रखा हुआ है, ठीक है. एंड मेरे पास नीचे बहुत जगह पड़ा हुआ है, तो मेरे अपने पूरा का पूरा सिस्टम जो यहाँ पे बना हुआ है, स्लाइसर्स, पिवट टेबल, पिवट चार्ट, सबको थोड़ा नीचे लाएंगे. कैसे? बाय इंसर्टिंग रोज, ऑल्ट I R. ठीक है, आप देख रहे हो नीचे नीचे जा रहा है। तो थोड़ा बहुत मैंने ऊपर स्पेस बनाया रिपोर्ट का टाइटल के लिए। सो Alt+IR टू रिपीट द लास्ट एक्शन, अगेन F4। ओके, तो ये चीजें तो ग्रुपिंग में है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, स्लाइसेस वगैरह ग्रुपिंग में है, तो ये कुछ डिस्टर्ब होने का चांसेस ही नहीं है। तो अभी टाइटल कैसे बनेगा, देखो टाइटल के लिए एक काम करेंगे यहाँ पे। ठीक है, ये हमारा टाइटल एरिया है, मैं इसको बनाऊंगा अभी। इसको मैं थोड़ा सिलेक्ट करके लाइट ग्रे में डाल देता हूँ, थोड़ा सा ग्रे कलर, बैकग्राउंड थोड़ा हल्का में देता हूँ। ठीक है, तो ये हो गया डार्क ग्रे, लाइट ग्रे, जो भी आपको पसंद है, always you can go for this. Now this area I'm going to use for my title. Now suppose that this is my one of the sales dashboard I'm making, suppose say. So how to write the title? See, going to insert, first एक मिनट देख लो, insert illustrations shapes एक options है, मैं एक rectangular वाला options लेता हूँ। तो उसमें जाके मैंने rectangular को ऐसे टाइप किया, और इसके अंदर मैं अभी टाइप करूंगा कैसे, सेल्स डैशबोर्ड। ओके, उसको मैंने सिलेक्ट कर दिया, उसका फॉन्ट साइज भी बढ़ा दिया मैंने। ऑलराइट, तो अभी क्या करना है, ये है मेरा बैकग्राउंड ऑफ लाइट ग्रे और डार्क ग्रे एनीथिंग। इसके अंदर फिल कलर भी है, तो शेप फॉर्मेट में जाऊंगा, शेप फिल, यहाँ पे नो फिल। ठीक है, टेक्स्ट का कलर कुछ और रखना है तो यहाँ से मैं टेक्स्ट कलर चेंज कर सकता हूँ, कोई दिक्कत नहीं। टेक्स्ट इफेक्ट्स कुछ डालना है तो यहाँ से मैं डाल सकता हूँ इफेक्ट्स, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं। तो ये सब आप अपना प्रैक्टिस के दौरान नेविगेट कर सकते हो, हाउ टू ब्यूटिफाई दैट, यू कैन सी दैट। नाउ यू सी इट्स a perfect, okay, over here as a text and shape outline, no outline, चलो ठीक है, ये सब भी मैंने कर दिया है। ठीक है, करने के बाद ये जो टेक्स्ट मैंने बनाया, ठीक है, यहाँ ये सब 2010 तक ठीक ठाक हो सकते हैं, 2013 में भी बन जाएंगे, 2016 में भी कोई दिक्कत नहीं, ये तो हो गया। लेकिन अगर आप ऑफिस 365 या 2019 या 2021 वर्जन्स पे काम कर रहे हो, यू कैन ऐड मोर ब्यूटी टू दिस by adding some kind of icons. So how to add the icons, just see, I will go to insert, I have a immediate options called icons, shapes के बाद ये सब वर्जन्स में नहीं मिलता है, सिर्फ 2019, ऑफिस 365 एंड ऑफिस 2021। तो मैंने ये आइकॉन्स को क्लिक किया, ये डायरेक्टली कनेक्ट हुआ माइक्रोसॉफ्ट ऑफिस सर्वर के साथ। और इसमें सपोज मान लो मैं सेल्स रिलेटेड कुछ ऐसे कोशिश कर रहा हूँ, तो सेल्स इस तरह से कुछ दिखा रहा है, तो चलो इसको मैं निकाल देता हूँ, फिर मैं डालता हूँ डैशबोर्ड। कुछ दिखा रहा है क्या, ये दिखा रहा है डैशबोर्ड, ऐसा इसे भी नहीं चाहिए। तो let's go for some analysis, some kind of icon which will be more eye catchy and it will be related to my content। तो यहाँ पे देखो एक आइकॉन जो है मुझे बहुत सी बढ़िया सुइटेबल लग रहा है, और ये है मेरा ये आइकॉन। ठीक है, तो ये आइकॉन को मैंने लिया और यहाँ पे क्लिक किया इंसर्ट। ठीक है, और इसको लेके ऐसे मैंने डाल दी, और इसका भी कलर वो थोड़ा बहुत चेंज कर दिया, ग्राफिक्स फॉर्मेट एक एक्टिवेट हो रहा है, इसको मैं चेंज करता हूँ। ठीक है, अगर वाइट चाहिए तो वाइट भी डाल देता हूँ, तो जैसे आपको चाहिए, ये डिपेंड करता है आप कौन सा कलर चेंज करना चाहते हैं। ठीक है, तो दिस आर कंप्लीटली अबाउट योर presentation style, it's an art, it's your innovation, it's your creativity, just to give a add-on to your report, you can do that, not so.
If we don't have this 365, can we copy and paste it from Google, such this kind of
Yes,
icon or something?
yes,
is it possible?
yes, you can do that very well, you can do that, but it will not be giving the background color transparent. That is the only trouble if you try to get it from Google sometimes. So this is what you have to be careful whilst getting the data from Google. You have to ensure the background is transparent one. There is no background is there. You can do that. Okay. Or you can do one thing over there. I'll tell you one more technique also. If you are so fascinating to this, I'll take you through one more technique. See, I am using this, suppose say I don't have the icon because I am working with the earlier versions of Microsoft Excel. So I can do one thing. I have got an option called symbol. So insert symbol, if I go for it, I'll be getting many more symbols. And only thing is I have to change the font to Webdings. And when I go to Webdings, I'll be getting so many symbols. Now, whichever the symbol I like the most, suppose say I have to go and choose and I have to explore. What is that symbol I will be taking out of this? I can choose out of this. If I don't like something from the Webdings, there is one more category called Wingdings. I can take it. And from Wingdings, if I like something, I can take out of this. Suppose say I'm working with some dashboards. So which will be more ideal? I'll take it from this. On this, I don't think much of variations. But yes, suppose I like this window style. I have taken. Okay. Now when I insert it over here in this, if I go for insert, is it allowing me? Let me see. Reference is not valid. Right. तो यहाँ पे नहीं ले रहा है, ठीक है? We'll see that. Nothing to worry about. So here I will merge some cells. I'll do one thing. Yeah, I have merged some cells. I'll go to insert symbols, again symbol, and I'll go for Webding. Suppose something. Okay, so this window symbol we were trying, right? I will take that and I'll go for insert. So when I insert, you can see a small symbol, it is appearing over here, right? If you see. Now, what I need to do, I will increase the font size of this so that it will be turn out to be good. So I'll take it, suppose at 22. Let's see, 22. It is coming up a little bit more. So Control Shift F. I'll go for size, say 22. Yeah. So this is how, I mean, you can use the symbols. If you do not have, you can use those symbols over here. Suppose I want to make it of white color, home, I can make it white. Okay. So there is always a workaround, but we have to a little bit struggle. That is the only difference over here. So if I want to take it over here, say 72. All right. So this is how you can create it, right? Taking the symbols or
and
taking.
also search for PNG image also.
Yeah.
Google.
Yes, you can. You can. Anything. Any image, icon, vector icons, anything you want, you can take it, but ensure that it should be having a transparent background so that it will not be looking odd. Okay. So this is how we have understood how to go for all these things. So since we have got the icons in place, I have utilized the icon, right? Now sales dashboard is ready, everything. But only thing is what you need to do, people, over here is being a presenter, always remember one thing, do not show many more sheets or information to the audience, because the more the information you show, the more the questions you are going to invite. And you don't have the whole day to present this entire information. You hardly get maximum 10 minutes time in a meeting. Do you agree with me? And within that 10 minutes, you have to manage your show in such a way, you have to describe all these things, you have to welcome all the questions, you need to answer them, and you have to also give your interpretation at the end of the presentation. So ये सब 10 मिनट के अंदर आपको मैनेज करनी है. तो सोचो कितना होमवर्क करना पड़ेगा प्रॉपर्ली, है कि नहीं? तो यहाँ पे आपने कुछ ना कुछ सोचा होगा जब मैंने ऐसे कहा कि इतना सारा इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं दिखाना है. ओके, तो क्या आपने सोचा होगा क्या करना है? एनीबॉडी? आइडियली हम क्या करते हैं, जो इन्फॉर्मेशन हम दिखाना नहीं चाहते हम क्या करते हैं, उसके साथ हाइड कर लेते हैं. डू यू एग्री? राइट, एग्जैक्टली. तो मान लो मैंने सब हाइड कर दिया, लेकिन एक शीट तो मुझे दिखाना पड़ेगा जहां पे पीवोट 11 डैशबोर्ड चल रहा है मेरा, मुझे तो उसको तो ऑन करके रखना पड़ेगा, राइट? तो बाकी को मैंने हाइड कर लिया, सपोज मैंने हाइड कर लिया, और मैं यहाँ पे ये प्रेजेंट कर रहा हूँ. मेरे सामने मेरे कंपनी के वाइस प्रेसिडेंट बैठे हैं मान लो, ठीक है? तो मैंने इसे प्रेजेंट करते करते क्या हुआ, मेरा माउस का राइट क्लिक वाला चीज जो एनाबल हो गया, और उसमें जो ये अनहाइड वाला बटन है, अभी क्या होगा, ये एक्टिवेट दिखेगा कि नहीं दिखेगा? अगर आपने कुछ हाइड किया हुआ है तो ये ऑटोमेटिक एक्टिवेट हो जाता है. हमने कुछ भी हाइड नहीं किया इसलिए ये ग्रे आउट है, राइट? तो ये जब देखते हैं लोग ऑडियंस तो इतना स्मार्ट है समझने के लिए कि कुछ तो हाइड हुआ है। तो मान लो मेरे वाइस प्रेसिडेंट ने पूछा, प्रभास एक काम करो, जरा वो अनहाइड वाला बटन को क्लिक करो। तो क्या मैं अपने वाइस प्रेसिडेंट को बोल सकता हूँ कि सर आप जो चाहते हो तो यहाँ पे है चीजें, आप अनवांटेड सवाल क्यों कर रहे हैं? मीटिंग में मैं सब बोल सकता हूँ, अपने ऑडियंस के साथ ऐसे बात कर सकता हूँ? बिल्कुल नहीं, है कि नहीं? तो फायदा क्या हुआ? हाइड किया, एक सिंपल राइट क्लिक से कोई भी अनहाइड कर सकता है। हाइड ऐसा करो किसी को पता ही ना चले कि आपने कितने शीट हाइड किए, कहाँ पे आपका वर्किंग्स है, कहाँ पे आपका डैशबोर्ड है, कितने पिवट टेबल बनाए, किसी को भी पता ना चले। देन इट मेक्स सेंस, इजंट इट? तो चलिए वो काम करते हैं। तो गो टू योर फाइल मेन्यू, मेरे साथ मिलकर काम करो। गो टू योर फाइल मेन्यू, फाइल में जाओ, एक ऑप्शंस टैब मिलेगा, ठीक है? ये ऑप्शंस टैब को क्लिक करने से एक एक्सेल ऑप्शंस वाला डायलॉग बॉक्स सामने आएगा, जिसमें लेफ्ट साइड में कैटेगरी है एडवांस्ड। और ये एडवांस कैटेगरी में आप जब क्लिक करोगे तो राइट साइड में एक स्क्रॉल बार दिखेगा। वो स्क्रॉल बार को थोड़ा नीचे खींच के बीचों बीच लेके आओ, और एक आपको मिलेगा सेक्शन जिसका नाम है डिस्प्ले। डिस्प्ले, और उस डिस्प्ले के अंदर एक सबसेक्शन है डिस्प्ले ऑप्शंस फॉर दिस वर्कबुक, और जिसमें ऑप्शंस हैं जैसे कि शो हॉरिजॉन्टल स्क्रॉल बार, ओके, एंड देन शो वर्टिकल स्क्रॉल बार एंड शो शीट टैब्स। तीसरा ऑप्शन जो शो शीट टैब्स है उसको डीएक्टिवेट करो। वो एक्टिवेट दिख रहा है, उसको डीएक्टिवेट करो। बस इतना ही चेंजेस करना है। क्या करना है? फाइल, फाइल में जाके ओवर हियर ऑप्शंस, उसमें आएगा एक्सेल ऑप्शंस टैब, जिसमें एडवांस्ड आपको सिलेक्ट करना है और स्क्रॉल करके आपको बीचों बीच लेके आना है। एक डिस्प्ले वाला ऑप्शंस मिलेगा, डिस्प्ले ऑप्शंस फॉर दिस वर्कबुक सबसेक्शन है, और उसमें शो शीट टैब्स एक्टिवेट दिख रहेगा, उसको डीएक्टिवेट करना है और फाइनली ओके करना है। बस इतना ही काम। Now the moment you do, see the result. क्या हुआ? अपने स्क्रीन पे देखो क्या हो रहा है। पता चल रहा है कितने शीट्स हैं? किसी को भी पता चलेगा आपके सिवा? किसी को भी नहीं। सो नो बडी विल बी एवर बी नोइंग कि आपने कितने शीट्स बनाए, कितने आप बना के दिखा रहे हो, कहाँ पे आपका वर्किंग है, किसी को भी पता नहीं चलेगा। सो दिस इज हाउ you should manage your interface or window whenever you prepare this kind of one page or reports over there. So now our data is ready for the next level. Next 1 minute, just watch my screen. I am doing on behalf of all. मान लो मैंने ऐसा सब बनाया, बॉस को प्रेजेंट किया, या मैं अपने मीटिंग में प्रेजेंट कर रहा हूँ। बॉस ने ही मुझे पूछा कि प्रभास हम अभी तीनों साल का डेटा देखना नहीं चाहते, हमको सिर्फ 2016 का दिखाओ, 2016 का। तो देखो चार्ट के अंदर एक ईयर फिल्टर लगा है, मैं जाके सिर्फ 2016 यहाँ से सिलेक्ट करता हूँ। तो अभी पूरा का पूरा डेटा 2016 का आ गया। जिसको चार्ट देखना है वो चार्ट देख के समझ सकता है कि यहाँ पे जो जेनेक्स नैनो है सबसे ज्यादा रेवेन्यू मिला, और सुमो से सबसे कम रेवेन्यू मिला 2016 में। तो चलो ये सब मैं प्रेजेंट कर रहा हूँ। मान लो मेरे बॉस के बाजू में मेरे चीफ मार्केटिंग ऑफिसर बैठे हैं, उनका फोकस गया डेटा के ऊपर। उन्होंने पूछा कि प्रभास ये अगर 2016 का डेटा है, मुझे ये बताओ कि सेल्समैन 5 का 2016 में परफॉर्मेंस कैसा था। तो सेल्स पर्सन एक स्लाइसर हमारे पास मौजूद है, SM5 मैंने क्लिक किया तो इमीडिएटली सब डेटा आ गया SM5 का। तो उन्होंने देखा, कुछ देर चुप रहे, फिर से और एक सवाल किया। क्या कहा कि अगर ये सेल्समैन 5 का डेटा है 2016 का, क्या मुझे आप उसका परफॉर्मेंस मई मंथ में दिखा सकते हो कि मई मंथ में कैसा था? तो मैं मंथ वाला स्लाइसर में चला गया, मई मंथ वहां पे ऑलरेडी लिखा हुआ है, तो मैंने क्लिक किया तो ये हो गया मई मंथ का डेटा। उसने एक ही प्रोडक्ट बेचा है मई मंथ में, दैट टू इन 2016। कौन से कस्टमर को? टूली मोटर्स। कौन सा रीजन को एक्सपोर्ट हुआ है? अफ्रीका। देखा, ऑन ए क्लिक ऑफ बटन एवरीथिंग इज हैपनिंग। सो दिस इज व्हाट you should integrate your slicers with pivot table, with pivot chart, and that makes your one pager report or dashboard. Looks good, elegant, helpful. What say? तो चलो ट्राई कर लो, आप भी कोई कॉम्बिनेशन को देखो सब कुछ ऑपरेट हो रहा है कि नहीं जैसे मैंने दिखाया। कोई डाउट है क्वेरी से पूछ लो। यस रंजन एब्सोल्युटली। सी डेटा सिर्फ होने से काम का नहीं है। डेटा को अगर आप प्रेजेंटेशन ठीक से कर नहीं पा रहे हो देन यू आर लैकिंग विथ ए लॉट। कितना भी आप हार्ड वर्क कर लो, यू कैनॉट बी रिकॉग्नाइज्ड एट योर वर्क प्लेस। somebody else will be taking that credit, so be careful। तो इसलिए you have to keep grooming yourself time to time। whenever there is a change in the market, you have to keep upgrading your skills, नहीं तो आप पीछे छूट जाओगे। हाँ Rachana will do that, don't worry। will how to again set it right, restore all the data, I will tell you। so first you tell me if you all are able to get that flavor जो मैं दिखाया अभी, able to navigate with all these options जो हमने किया। are you getting a proper feel of your report? कोई सवाल है तो पूछ लो दोस्तों।
ये जो सेल्स
सॉरी
नो प्रॉब्लम।
ये जो सेल्स डैशबोर्ड जो राइट डाउन किया था ना ऊपर में, हाँ ये सेल्स डैशबोर्ड का जो मतलब मैं सिलेक्ट विलेक्ट सब कुछ कर लिया, खाली सेल्स डैशबोर्ड कहाँ से वो राइट डाउन किया था, एक सेकंड दिखा दीजिए।
हाँ आपको जाना है यहाँ पे इंसर्ट में एक शेप इंसर्ट करना है। पहले इंसर्ट शेप्स, कोई भी एक रेक्टेंगल शेप्स ले लो, ठीक है। उसको लेके आप पहले ड्रॉ कर लो, उसके अंदर लिखो जो भी लिखना है, डैशबोर्ड, सेल्स डैशबोर्ड, जो भी लिखना है।
ठीक है,
राइट। यस श्रुति, यू आर आस्किंग समथिंग।
Yeah, Prabhas, I just wanted to confirm, यहाँ पे हमने बार टेबल यूज किया, so can we do this with pie chart, another type of graph also? या फिर ये भी हो सकता है कि अब मैं एक चीज को चार्ट में दिखाऊं, दूसरी चीज को पाई चार्ट में दिखाऊं, वैसा पॉसिबल है क्या?
हाँ बिल्कुल, वही तो मैंने आपको डैशबोर्ड जो दिखा रहा था उसमें कितने वैरायटीज के चार्ट थे। एक लाइन था, एक बार था, एक कॉलम था।
राइट राइट,
तो
वहाँ
यू
पे
कैन,
काफी
हाँ
वेराइटीज।
राइट। सो व्हेन यू हैव मल्टीपल पिवट टेबल यू कैन क्रिएट मल्टीपल चार्ट्स। लेकिन एक ही पिवट टेबल में मल्टीपल चार्ट्स आप नहीं बना सकते, ठीक है। तो अभी मान लो मुझे सेल्समैन वाइज डेटा दिखानी है, तो पाई चार्ट कहाँ पे आता है? व्हेन यू हैव ओनली टू कॉलम्स ऑफ वेरिएबल्स और टू कॉलम्स डेटा, like column 1 column 2, if you have something you can showcase in pie chart because pie chart only shows one variable। लेकिन कॉलम और बार मल्टीपल वेरिएबल्स हो सकते हैं। तो इट डिपेंड्स व्हाट काइंड ऑफ डेटा यू आर डीलिंग विथ, देन यू हैव टू टेक ए कॉल ऑफ योर चार्ट्स, ठीक है। Fine। So now our friend Rachna is very curious how to restore that data again। So first thing first, जो जो स्लाइसर्स हमने काम किए हैं उसके टॉप राइट कॉर्नर में देखो क्लियर फिल्टर वाला ऑप्शन है, तो उसको क्लिक करते ही इट विल स्टार्ट रिस्टोरिंग द डेटा। देन चार्ट का हमने फिल्टर भी बनाया था, तो उसके चार्ट के ईयर फिल्टर में जाओ, उसको भी क्लियर करो। और क्या क्या हमने डीएक्टिवेट किए थे? पहला तो शीट टैब्स, जो पिवट टेबल इतने सारे बनाए थे, वही ऑप्शन में जाओ, फाइल, ऑप्शंस, एडवांस्ड, स्क्रॉल करो, थोड़ा बीचों बीच लेके आओ, डिस्प्ले के अंदर डिस्प्ले ऑप्शंस फॉर दिस वर्कबुक, शो शीट टैब्स। तो जो ऑप्शन में जाके आपने डीएक्टिवेट किया था उसी को जाके फिर से एक्टिवेट करनी है, बस। फिर हमने क्या और डीएक्टिवेट किया था? ये जो ग्रिड लाइंस, फॉर्मूला बार, हेडर्स, उसको फिर से एक्टिवेट करने के लिए यहाँ पे जाओ, कोई भी एक ब्लैंक सेल में कर्सर रखो। ठीक है। Now, once you have done with this, go to the same view tab. And in the view tab, you will be finding over here grid lines, headings, formula bar. ये तीनों ऑप्शन को फिर से एक्टिवेट करना है और सब कुछ एक्टिवेट हो जाएगा। ठीक है। और क्या एक्टिवेट करना है? अपने रिबन बार, वो तो मैंने बताया था। इधर कंट्रोल F1 आप ले सकते हो, नहीं तो यहाँ पे ऊपर जाके भी यहाँ पे राइट क्लिक यहाँ पे करके एक ऑप्शन आता है, इसको भी एक्टिवेट कर सकते हो। रिबन बार, सपोज मान लो मैंने होम में गया, यहाँ पे राइट क्लिक, yes, you can see command, customize the ribbon, collapse the ribbon, all these options also it comes. So better don't take that risk of doing all these operations. So better you use the keyboard shortcuts, Control F1. So this is how people we have understood how to create a one-pager report or a dashboard over here in pivot table by connecting the slicers with pivot chart. So this is what the story of our pivot table number 11. ठीक है, आगे बढ़े। चलिए, so right click on pivot table number 10, not 11. Go to right click on pivot table number 10 sheet tab and move or copy. Create a copy, click OK. So one more pivot turns up, you can rename the same as pivot table number 12. Okay. So when you keep your cursor in pivot, right click, show field list option will be there because we have deactivated. If it is coming up, well and good. If it is not turning up, the pivot table fields in the right side box window, go for right click on pivot, show field list. तो इस तरह से आपको अपना pivot table के field box भी मिल जाएंगे जिसमें unwanted fields है, जैसे कि हमारा कौन सा invoice count, revenue percentage, ये सब निकाल दो। ठीक है। So please confirm you got your structure ready जैसा मैं स्क्रीन पे दिखा रहा हूँ। So once you have done with this, now we are going to see over here. So पहले सुन लो जो अभी हमारा काम है, क्या करना है अभी। दोपहर से लेके अभी तक हमने जितना किया, आपने देखा होगा एक एक शीट में एक यूनिक सा पिवट टेबल बना के हम स्टोरी अपना प्रेजेंट कर रहे थे, है कि नहीं। मान लो कभी ऐसा सिचुएशन आए कि एक से ज्यादा स्टोरी हमको प्रेजेंट करना पड़े, एक से ज्यादा सिचुएशन एनालिसिस करना पड़े, तो अलग अलग शीट करने की बजाय एक ही शीट में हम कैसे मल्टीपल स्टोरी प्रेजेंट कर सकते हैं वो हम देखने वाले हैं। तो how to create multiple pivot tables and generate the report and present the information to the people we are going to see now. So we have already got a pivot table. Fine. Select that. Control A. Control C. Copy करो और यहाँ पे एक दो लाइन छोड़ के नीचे पेस्ट कर लो। तो यहाँ पे दो पिवट टेबल हो गए, आप देख सकते हैं अपने स्क्रीन पे भी दो पिवट टेबल आ गया, है कि नहीं। तो अभी आपको क्या लगता है, is it two different pivot tables or is it the same? Yes, people.
Two different pivot table.
Yes. Though the information is same, but technically these are two different pivot table. कैसे? जैसे कि मैंने आपको बताया था, हर एक पिवट टेबल का अपना एक यूनिक सा नाम होता है। तो मैं कंफर्म करता हूँ इमीडिएटली, आप मेरे स्क्रीन के ऊपर देख लो। ठीक है, ये जो पिवट मैंने बनाया उसके ऊपर राइट क्लिक किया, नीचे आता है पिवट टेबल ऑप्शंस। इसको जब मैं क्लिक करता हूँ, यहाँ पे देखो एक नाम दिखा रहा है पिवट टेबल, जो भी है 1 3 5, सबका अलग अलग हो सकता है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं। बट ये नाम को बस याद रखो। मेरे स्क्रीन पे पिवट टेबल 3 दिखा रहा है, ठीक है, मैंने याद रखा। फिर नीचे जाऊंगा, फिर से राइट क्लिक किया, पिवट टेबल ऑप्शंस। इज इट शोइंग समथिंग डिफरेंट? पिवट टेबल नंबर 14। तो क्या पता चला, भले ही हमने कॉपी पेस्ट किया, लेकिन ये एक अलग सा पिवट टेबल है। तो चलिए, अलग तो है लेकिन सेम इंफॉर्मेशन रख के क्या फायदा, है कि नहीं? तो चलिए, जो दूसरा पिवट टेबल है वहां पे कर्सर रखते हैं। फिर हम जाते हैं थोड़ा डिजाइन टैब में, थोड़ा उसको चेंज करते हैं कलर्स थोड़ा, और इसको प्रोडक्ट के बजाय एक काम करते हैं, कस्टमर वाइज डेटा दिखा देते हैं। तो एक डेटा हुआ प्रोडक्ट वाइज लास्ट 3 इयर्स डेटा, दूसरा हो गया कस्टमर वाइज लास्ट 3 इयर्स डेटा। ओके, अगर कस्टमर पसंद नहीं आया तो एक काम करो, सेल्समैन वाइज ले लो, सेल्समैन को लेकर रो में रख दिया। तो एक हो गया आपका प्रोडक्ट वाइज, एक हो गया सेल्समैन वाइज लास्ट 3 इयर्स डेटा। ठीक है, तो अभी ये पिवट फील्ड का काम खत्म। राइट, अभी पहले पिवट टेबल में कर्सर रखते हैं, फिर जाते हैं एक पिवट चार्ट बनाते हैं। पिवट चार्ट कहाँ पे मिलता है? एनालाइज ऑप्शंस, पिवट टेबल एनालाइज डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द वर्जन्स, जो कि हमको पता है, पहले शीट में भी काम किया था। फिर क्लिक करो ओके, चार्ट बन गया। इसको मैं लेके जाता हूँ थोड़ा राइट में, ऐसे एक्सटेंड कर दिया। नहीं, कहाँ गया, बहुत देर चला गया। ओके, ठीक है, थोड़ा ठीक कर लेते हैं, नो प्रॉब्लम। तो यहाँ पे मैंने इसको थोड़ा एक्सटेंड कर लिया। ओके, फिर दूसरा पिवट टेबल, वहां पे भी कर्सर रखता हूं, और फिर वही एनालाइज पिवट चार्ट, इसको भी लेके रख दिया डेटा के नीचे, और उसको भी थोड़ा एक्सटेंड कर दिया। बाकी फॉर्मेटिंग वगैरह आप कर सकते हो, उसको मैं फिर से रिपीट नहीं कर रहा हूँ। बस 2 पिवट टेबल बनाए, 2 चार्ट बनाए, यहां तक कंफर्म करो सबका हो गया। Now, once you have done with this, just watch my screen for a minute. Keeping the cursor in first pivot table, what I'm going to do, I will go to same analyze options or pivot table analyze options. I'll go to insert slicer. Okay, I'll go to insert slicer. It will show me like this. Now, suppose say I want to see my region wise data. Okay, so there is an option called region. I'll check that and I'll click OK. So my region over here, it will be ready. So I'll take this in this format and I will increase this. Okay. So once my region slicer is ready over here, what I'm going to do, I will slightly change the colors of this. So going to slicer, and we know where to change. So I don't need to say much on this. Okay. So this is there. So we got slicers also ready. Okay. So please go and get the slicers. Keeping the cursor in pivot 1, going to analyze, pivot table analyze, insert slicer, and click our region checkbox. Okay. So once you get your slicer, what is happening when I go and operate with my slicer, it is only giving an impact to my first pivot table. Can you see that? Right, people? So what is the point of doing that? Doesn't make any sense. I should operate in such a way, it should impact to both the pivot tables and both the charts should reflect, and on a click of button, things should be happening. Then it makes sense and people will love to see that. Yes, of course. Then how to make it? Just say, I will select my slicer over here with the slicer name, and I will go for right click upon the same. When I right click, there is an option called report connections. Okay. So when I go to report connections over here, you will be finding a dialog box appears having the list of pivot tables, and which is exactly connected with that pivot table, that alone checkbox is activated. And exactly below to that, whatever pivot table is there, that is not connected over here. So over here, if I go for it, so my case pivot table number 12 is not connected. That was the pivot table number 14 for me. Yes, it was not connected. So I have taken that. Now when I go and click OK with immediate effect, now see the beauty. When I go and operate, suppose I want to see what is the status of, say, Belgium. So if I go and click Belgium, now both the pivot table is connected, both the pivot table is reflecting, both the charts also reflecting in this case, isn't it? If I want to see Australia data, this is what the status of Australia. This is of Ukraine. This is of USA. Any point of time, if you click, it will connect to both those pivot table and it will showcase the result. So this is how, whenever you want to play around with multiple situations, multiple pivot tables, multiple charts, you can connect your slicers with multiple properties and you can showcase on the screen so that people will like the most. And the report what I showed you while before starting the dashboard, this is how it is connected. All right. So hope you got some idea now, getting more confidence to make your things better. So techniques remains the same. Only thing is you have to keep practicing with your live data, and trust me people, I can give you an assurance if you're thorough with all these features what I shared with you today, you can make a lot of wonders at your workplace. People will love to see such kind of presentations.
Can you repeat last portion, please?
No problem. You can share your screen. What you have missed out, I can guide you.
I just want to know, yeah, just a minute.
Yeah.
So this section, how to interlink these two tables.
Right. No problem. So first of all, to give more add-on, I mean, little bit fancy look, you can increase the bottom side, your slicer height. Yeah, little bit increase that. Yes, fine. Now take your mouse pointer to slicer name. Mouse pointer to slicer name. Name. Region. No, 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 no. Region where it is written region. Yes. Now go for report connections. And it will show you if you scroll down. No, no, don't click now. Just scroll down first. Scroll down slowly. Right. Go down, please. Go down. Yes. Can you see one checkbox is on? Hold on. Hold on there. Hold on. Hold on. Now just go for still scroll down. Still scroll down. Yeah. So the below one, it is showing pivot table number 2 and your pivot table is connected 12. So second one, what was the name? Did you remember? The second pivot table.
This one?
Yes, the below one. Because this one you have connected with the first pivot table, right?
Right.
Now below pivot table, what is there? What is the name of that pivot table? Did you remember?
one is for sales manager and one is, I think,
no, the name of the pivot table. I told you how to identify the name.
Just a minute, a minute.
Yes.
14.
So you have to connect with 14 now. Just go for right click, report connections, and scroll down where pivot table. Yes, 14. That alone you have to check box. You have to make it on. Yes, and click OK. And now you operate. It will be giving the impact to both the pivot tables.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. Fine. So, okay, Shruti is leaving. Fine, Shruti, no problem. Yes. All right. So I believe everybody is clear whatever we discussed today. Any doubt? Any
I
queries?
have a question.
Yes, Anand.
Shanta.
Yes. Ask.
मेरा क्वेश्चन एक ये है कि ये जो हम लोगों ने पिवट बनाया उसमें जो हम लोगों ने उस टाइम जो 10 सेल्समैन जो 10 अलग अलग पिवट बनाए थे ना, पिवट नंबर आई थिंक 7 था,
राइट।
तो वहां से उसके बाद जो ये SM 8 9 10 ये जो अलग अलग से शीट बना, इसको हम लोग मतलब ये आपके जो मतलब आप जो एक्सेल शो कर रहे थे उसमें शो नहीं हो रहा था, इसको डिलीट कैसे किया जाएगा?
राइट।
एक करके तो
नहीं, एक नहीं करना है। आप एक काम करो, देखो आपके जो पॉइंटर आप जहाँ पे रखे हो माउस पॉइंटर, उसके राइट में देखो एक प्लस सिंबल जैसा दिख रहा है, राइट में लेके आओ। हाँ, उसके बाजू में देखो 3 डॉट दिख रहे हैं, उसको थोड़ा ड्रैग करो राइट में, होल्ड करके ड्रैग करो। हाँ, अभी आपका जो है सेल्समैन, पूरा पूरा मत करो, सब दिखेगा नहीं कुछ भी, थोड़ा बाहर लेके आओ। हाँ, बस उतना रखो, उतना रखो। आप अभी सेल्समैन 2 सीट को क्लिक करो, SM2 क्लिक करो। हाँ, अभी यहां से लेके आपको SM9 तक डिलीट करना है, राइट?
यस।
हाँ, तो अभी माउस पॉइंटर को लेके 9 में पहुंच जाओ, SM9 तक लेके आओ माउस पॉइंटर को। हाँ, बस अभी अपना शिफ्ट बटन होल्ड करके SM9 को क्लिक करो, शिफ्ट को होल्ड करके शिफ्ट को प्रेस करो एंड SM9 को क्लिक करो एक साथ दोनों को। हाँ, तो अभी क्या हुआ, शीट का टैब कलर चेंज हो रहा है, देखो अब व्हाइट कलर दिख रहा है सब कुछ।
सिलेक्ट हो गया।
हाँ, अभी बस प्रेस करो Alt E L एक एक करके, Alt E L, E फॉर डिलीट। या तो अभी डिलीट करो, डिलीट बटन को प्रेस करो, हो गया।
और इसको अगर मैं हाइट करना चाहता था तो हाइट मतलब वहां से जो हाइट छोड़ के अगर मैं एक आध मतलब मान लीजिए कि ये जैसे पिवट 1 पिवट 4 3 ये तीनों को अगर मैं हाइड करना चाहता हूँ तो ऐसे क्या हाइड हो सकता है?
बिल्कुल हो सकता है, तो तीनों को आप सिलेक्ट कर लो। हाँ, राइट क्लिक करो, हाइड कर लो, वहीं पे राइट क्लिक कर लो, हाइड भी ऑप्शन आ जाएगा।
ठीक,
राइट। Yes. So, any other queries? Any other questions for the day, people? So this is it from our day 3 side. So practice well. As I told you, recordings will be available by maximum 8 p.m. tonight. And tomorrow's our agenda would be completely focusing with our formulas, functions, charts, and graphs. So if you have any queries also, you can bring it to the session and we can discuss that, not an issue. And as I observed today, there is a lack of practice. I don't want to point out, don't take it personal also. This is for your betterment. Take my suggestions. What people does the mistake, please don't do that. Don't be in overconfidence. Okay, later I can go and get time and practice. Things will be definitely forgotten. So please have the connectivity. Since you are investing your time and money, don't lose that. And the more the practice you do, the more the things you can make it better. All right. This is how you can groom your skills. Trust me, because this is just the base. This is not the whole and soul. This is just the base what you are learning. There are a lot of improvements you have to do. You have to groom yourself with the automation world, because nowadays everybody is migrating to AI and ML. You would have seen in the companies also. A lot of people talking about how to go for artificial intelligence, machine learning. People talk a lot. So you never know, any point of time machine is going to replace a human being, could be the case. So we have to be prepared for that. So we should not be lagging behind with the world, right? The best example, I'll tell you, instead of taking the whole story like this, the best example. Have you heard of Nokia story? Anybody?
Yes.
What is the story? What is the learning? What is the takeaway from the Nokia story?
The learning is that they have not, through their research team, not developed such kind of, phones so that technology basically.
Right. So they have not adapted the technology. Yes. They were still believing that they can survive in the market by taking the same Symbian mobiles. Once upon a time, they were the global leaders of 65% global share of the market of mobile. But later it has been reduced drastically to 45%. Still, it was an alarm, but they did not hear it. It has again changed to 36%. Still, they did not adapt to that. In the meantime, the other people, Samsung and all those things, they have adopted Android technology, and they have done one more blunt mistake. They have gone to Microsoft. So now Nokia is acquired by Microsoft. So this is the reason why you have to upgrade your technology or knowledge about your application time to time. So learning is a never-ending process, but yes, which direction, what is going to help you, you have to think twice about that. People will offer you so many lucrative courses. If you do this, we'll be giving you this much of handsome job salary and all those things. Don't be falling like a prey for that kind of offers. Just use your brain. What exactly I need? Is it going to help me? Or if I learn, is there any future of this course? How the global market is? How the people are going for? How they are migrating? Which technology is getting more popularity? Do the research. Everything is there now in internet. Nothing is just any kind of hidden piece for us. Everything is there. Only thing is we have to take the right call. All right. So don't go for this kind of lucrative data scientist, data warehousing, data analytics. There are a lot many things are coming up in the social networks or sites like this. Or every now and then you will be also getting some SMS, text, or WhatsApp flyers, banners, and all those things. Don't go for that. Trust me. Anyway, so no problem. So if there is no queries, shall we call it as a day?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome. So we'll catch up tomorrow, same time, people. If you have any queries, please drop me a message and I'll be logging in 1:45 p.m. max. Don't worry.